Thunderstep Gaming.
Desktop 1. Desktop. Desktop. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and fuck you, Monica.
Indeed.
Welcome back to Thunderstep Gaming.
Yeah, OBS decided to be a dick and throw some encoding errors, but...
This one is kind of my fault, but it's Monica's fault. We always blame Monica.
Yeah, I was about to say. It's always Monica.
I changed the encoding settings for recording. I always record archives, and I changed them for recording for disco stuff. And that apparently is too much for OBS to handle, streaming and recording at the same time. So we are not recording at this time. There will be no local archive. If this stream breaks, that's it. It's broken. So yeah, I'll... God damn it, this is annoying because I'll have to like make a new profile or something, or keep switching settings. Probably just make a new profile. Oh, OBS. We love you.
Yes.
Anyway, hello there, everybody. Welcome to more DDLC Plus. Let's see what's going on. I love how he says. I love how he says minor technical issues. Yeah, sure. Minor, as in stream, literally doesn't work properly. You know, minor issue.
Files, mail, pictures, music.
I mean, there was a stream, you know, so for us it is kind of minor. Like, sometimes our tech issues just like the stream won't start.
Game trial, yes. Yeah. The streams are like saved and stuff. Well, the streams are saved. Yeah, like that's how we do our VODs. The streams are saved, but the thing is, they're saved as they were streamed. So like if it breaks, there's no saving that on YouTube's end. That's why I do local archives in case the streams are like, or in the other case that happened once where I forgot to click the button to go live. You know, that can also happen. But yeah, we got 3 more side stories to finish.
Track 8,
So
music. Pitch, mail, 5 side stories.
Let's
do it.
The side stories are stories of understanding, respect, part 1, balance, part 1.
balance. So last time we had Yuri join the club. She was like super into fantasy. And we explored some of her issues.
Respect, part 1.
Then we had Respect, which was the Monica and Natsuki story. The Monica is a dick story.
Balance, part 1.
Play through the DLC this week. Nice. We always approve of more people playing through the DLC here at Thunderstep Gaming.
Reflection, part 1. Balance, part 1. Balance, part 1. Yes, open side story. Begin this side story. Balance, part 1. Side stories. Sayori, quote Natsuki, tilde quote. While Natsuki is messing with the orientation of her manga in the closet shelves, Sayori approaches from behind and pulls her into an embrace. Natsuki, quote wallet, quote. Sayori, quote high quote. Natsuki, quote high quote. The literature club has been in full swing since Natsuki joined. Including her, the club is now comprised of 4 members. Sayori, Natsuki, Yuri, and Monica. Each club member had received a day in the spotlight to share all of their favorite kinds of literature with each other. Natsuki was first and shared her passion for manga. Then, Sayori shared her love for poetry, as well as how she goes about writing it herself. Monica, who had multiple literary interests, decided to focus her day on short stories. And finally, Yuri managed to demonstrate her obsession with fantasy with a little help and encouragement from Sayori. After the week was spent on their presentations, Monica decided to give the club members this next week to freely explore each other's literary interests. Sayori, having spent most of her time in the club so far with Yuri's fantasy books, is rather excited to begin her journey into Natsuki's manga collection. Sayori, quote, I want to read with you today, quote. Sayori, quote, tell me which one I should pick, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, that depends on the kind of stuff you like, quote. Natsuki, quote, I mean, there's like romance, drama, comedy, mystery, quote. Sayori, quote, I like all those things, quote. Sayori reaches out and pulls a random book from the shelf and inspects the cover. Sayori, quote, shouldn't this girl be wearing more clothes, quote. Natsuki, quote, why dash you wouldn't like that one, quote. In a panic, Natsuki snatches the book from Sayori's hand and places it on the shelf in a less conspicuous location.
It's one of those.
Also, no, she should not be wearing more clothes.
Also, I'm sorry, Natsuki, but why are you keeping that in the club room? Like, yes, sharing your passions is a good thing, but that might be a little far.
Natsuki, quote, okay, well, dash, dash, if you really have no preference, then let's just start with something that's easy to get into, quote. Natsuki, quote, a lot of these don't start to get really good until like a few volumes in, and I wouldn't ask someone to make that kind of commitment unless they're already really into manga, quote. Sayori, quote, I could handle it. I did it with Yuri's book, at least, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, I'm more considerate than that, quote. Natsuki, quote, although I'm kinda impressed by your attention span if you put that much effort into the books, quote. Sayori, quote, no, I have the attention span of a donut, quote. Sayori, quote, but I love my friends, and I can do anything for them, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, okay then, quote. Natsuki, quote, let's pick you something that even donuts can read, quote. Sayori, quote, I didn't say I was a donut, I just said I had the attention span of one, quote. Sayori, quote, AWW, were you just trying to call me sweet? You're so cute, quote. Natsuki, quote, no dash dash, how did you get to that conclusion, quote. Natsuki, quote, and don't call me that, quote. Sayori, quote, donut, quote. Natsuki, quote, C dash cute, quote. Sayori, quote, or, how come, quote. Natsuki, quote, I just don't like it, I don't need a reason, quote. Natsuki yanks a book from the shelf and closes the closet doors. Natsuki, quote, if someone asked you to stop, then you just need to stop. People need to realize that, quote. Sayori, quote, I'm sorry, I really didn't mean to hurt you, quote. Natsuki, quote, sorry, it wasn't you, quote. Natsuki shakes her head while pulling a second chair over to her desk. Natsuki, quote, I was talking about something else. I didn't mean to get angry all of a sudden, quote. Natsuki averts her gaze and mumbles. Natsuki, quote, you're like, well, like a nice person, so I wasn't talking about you, quote. Sayori, quote, I still learned a valuable lesson, quote. Sayori speaks softly as well, feeling Natsuki, quote, well, anyway, quote.
Oops.
Sayori speaks softly as well, feeling shy after receiving the unexpected compliment. Natsuki, quote, well, anyway, quote. Natsuki, quote, here's the book, so just start it whenever you feel like it, quote. Sayori, quote, what's it about, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, it's like a comedy, and there's romance too, obviously, quote. Sayori looks at the title. It's called, quote, love is another word for love, quote.
Obviously. Why is it obvious that it's a romance?
Sayori looks at the title. It's called, quote, love is another word for
The
love, quote.
Nathan said, yeah, there you go.
Love
That's
is
one.
another word for love?
I thought it said for luck.
Sayori looks at the title.
I have to read that. Hang
I thought
on.
it said love is another word for luck.
Yeah, love is another word for luck. Interesting.
Natsuki, quote, it's about a girl who keeps accidentally running into the same guys, and then you find out, like, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, you should just read it, quote. Natsuki, quote, but you have to tell me what you think, quote. Natsuki, quote, I can already guess who you're gonna ship yourself with. It would be so funny if I'm right, quote. Sayori, quote, shit, I don't get it, quote. Natsuki, quote, oh dash dash, never mind, let's not worry about it yet, quote. Natsuki, quote, just make sure you tell me what you think, quote. Sayori, quote, oh, okay, quote. Sayori, quote, I'll start, then, quote. Sayori, quote, hey, maybe tomorrow we can do poetry, too, quote. Natsuki, quote, oh, quote. Natsuki, quote, yeah, I guess, quote. Natsuki, quote, but don't you want to finish this first, quote. Sayori, quote, yeah, but we could do both, quote. Sayori, quote, I mean, unless you don't like poetry, then I won't make you or anything, quote. Natsuki, quote, no, it's just, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, never mind, we can worry about it tomorrow, quote. After the club meeting ends and Natsuki and Yuri leave, Monika strikes up a conversation with Sayori. Monika, quote, I see you got Natsuki to share some of her manga with you, quote. Sayori, quote, I really want to become better friends with her, quote. Sayori, quote, she's so enthusiastic and expressive, quote. Sayori, quote, I could just listen to her talk. She's so C dash dash, quote. Sayori, quote, oh dash dash, I'm not sure if she meant I can't say that to her, or if I just can't say it at all, quote. Monika, quote, say what, quote. Sayori, quote, nothing. I am a woman of respect, quote. Sayori, quote, but Natsuki is a woman of cute, quote. Sayori, quote, oh, I said it, quote. Monika, quote, bad her. What's so bad about that, quote. Sayori, quote, I don't know, quote. Sayori, quote, but you know, there's one thing I'm kind of worried about, quote. Sayori, quote, sometimes I'm afraid that Natsuki actually doesn't like me very much, quote. Monika, quote, or, that's ridiculous. How come you feel that way, quote. Sayori, quote, well, I mean, quote. Sayori, quote, just little signs, like how she only says hi to me after I say hi to her first, quote. Sayori, quote, and it feels like she only gets excited to talk to me when it's about manga and other stuff she likes, quote. Sayori, quote, she just seems dismissive a lot, quote. Sayori, quote, she was like that when I brought up poetry, quote. Monika, quote, yeah, but that doesn't mean she doesn't like you, quote. Monika, quote, she's probably just shy, you know, quote. Sayori, quote, maybe, quote. Sayori, quote, that my stupid head is just making me worry for no reason. It likes to do that, quote. Monika, quote, it's okay, try not to worry so much. Everything will be great, quote. Monika, quote, but you can always talk to me about any concerns.
Yep.
Of the Yuri side story.
Yep.
Monika, quote, but you can always talk to me about any concerns that you have. I'm here to help, quote. Sayori, quote, you're the best, quote. Sayori gives Monika a quick hug. Sayori, quote, well, I'm gonna keep trying because I love her and I want to get closer to her, quote. Monika, quote, you got this, quote. After the next club meeting starts, Sayori is the last one as usual.
As usual.
Trotting into the room, she sees Natsuki sitting alone by the closet, reading what must be manga.
Again with the trotting.
Once again, Sayori is a horse.
Without hesitation, Sayori pulls up a chair and plops herself down right next to Natsuki. Sayori, quote, hello there, quote. Natsuki, quote, hi, quote. Sayori, quote, what are you reading? Can I read it with you, quote. Natsuki pulls the book away from Sayori. Natsuki, quote, you can't just start in the middle, there are spoilers. Besides, what about the one I gave you yesterday, quote. Sayori, quote, sorry, I was just curious, quote. Natsuki, quote, well anyway, I've been waiting forever for this volume to come out, and it just came out yesterday, so, quote. Sayori, quote, oh, that's exciting. Well, I'll let you read it, then, quote. Natsuki, quote, MHM, quote. Sayori, quote, can I sit next to you, though, quote. Natsuki, quote, UH, sure, quote. Sayori plops herself down next to Natsuki, then pulls out a blank sheet of paper. Natsuki reads in silence, save for the periodic flutter of the page being released from beneath her thumb. From Sayori's side, only the light tapping noises of her pen meeting the paper can be heard. Time passes. Sayori's paper is filled with scribbles, and the margins are lined with stick figures. Natsuki lets out a deep sigh and closes her book. Sayori, quote, did you finish, quote. Natsuki, quote, no, but it's a good stopping point, quote. Natsuki, quote, my head is swimming, I need a break, quote. Natsuki stretches her arms. Natsuki, quote, aren't you bored, quote. Sayori, quote, no, I was writing, quote. Natsuki, quote, oh, I saw all the stick figures and thought you were just bored, quote. Sayori, quote, I just draw those when I'm thinking or waiting for inspiration. I made friends with them all, quote. Sayori, quote, this one is sad because she thinks the night sky is pretty, but she can't look up at the stars in public without everyone thinking she's a weirdo, quote. Sayori, quote, and this one has problems with his back, but the doctors can't figure out what's wrong with him, quote. Natsuki, quote, what the heck, quote. Natsuki, quote, you're the weirdo, quote.
Those are very specific. That reminds me of
Yeah.
That reminds me of Sonic High School and the weird, like, oh, this is probably a real estate agent who, what was it? You remember that? Like,
No, not off the top of my head.
there was something about a real estate agent.
Sayori, quote, wanna read the poem I'm working on, quote. Natsuki, quote, sure, I guess, quote. Sayori slides the paper over to Natsuki. As Natsuki reads through the poem, she furrows her eyebrows. Natsuki, quote, quote. She slides the paper back over to Sayori. Natsuki, quote, don't you ever feel weird just sharing all of your thoughts and feelings like that, quote. Natsuki, quote, I mean, your poems are like really emotional, quote. Sayori, quote, is that bad, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, no, it was just an observation, quote. Sayori, quote, I think people can get closer to each other if they find ways of expressing their feelings, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, quote. Natsuki begins to protest, but she can't find a good way of putting her thoughts into words. Natsuki, quote, doesn't it depend more on the kinds of friends you have, quote. Natsuki, quote, I don't know, quote. Natsuki, quote, to each their own, but I've never met anyone I feel comfortable sharing my poems with, quote. Natsuki, quote, not that it's you, it's just how I am, so, quote. Sayori, quote, you write poems, quote. Natsuki, quote. Sayori, quote, you never told me that, I just thought you wrote other stuff, quote. Natsuki, quote, yeah, that too, but, quote. Sayori, quote, you should quote. Sayori, quote, I mean, would you ever want to share, quote. Natsuki, quote, like I said, I don't do that, quote. Sayori, quote, but, quote. Natsuki, quote, can we talk about something else, quote. Sayori, quote, I'm sorry, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's not your fault, it just makes me uncomfortable, I can't help it, quote. Sayori, quote, still, I'm sorry, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's fine, quote. Sayori, quote. Sayori, quote, well, let's move on to something that makes us both happy, quote. Sayori, quote, I should continue the book you gave me, since Natsuki, quote, sure, quote. Sayori, quote, I should continue the book you gave me, since I didn't get very far yet, quote. Over the next few days, Sayori begins each club meeting by approaching Natsuki with unwavering enthusiasm. Sayori, quote, it's Natsuki, I, quote. Sayori, quote, Natsuki, I love you, tilde, quote. Sayori, quote, hi, Natsuki, quote. At the end of one club meeting, Monica who has become rather invested in Sayori's friendship mission starts an innocuous conversation with Natsuki while she packs up. Monica, quote, it's cool that you've been finding time to spend with Sayori. She was pretty excited for the chance to read manga with you, quote.
Yeah, man. Friendship
Love
mission.
that phrasing. Operation Friendship is a go.
Monica, quote, it's cool that you've been finding time to spend with Sayori. She was pretty excited for the chance to read manga with you, quote. Natsuki, quote, yeah, quote. Monica, quote, I'm sure you've been enjoying the chance to share it too, right, quote. Natsuki, quote, yeah, mostly, quote. Monica, quote, HM, quote. Natsuki glances over her shoulder but doesn't reply further. Monica, quote, what's on your mind, quote. Natsuki, quote, nothing, quote. Natsuki, quote, I don't talk about people behind their backs, quote. Monica, quote, oh, quote. Natsuki falls silent, but she just fidgets instead of getting back to what she was doing, as though she wants to say more. Monica, quote, it's okay to share your feelings. That's different from talking about someone behind their back, quote. Natsuki, quote, I guess, quote. Natsuki, quote, I just hate when people talk about me behind my back, so I'm better than to do it to others, quote. Monica shares a bright smile. Monica, quote, you're really considerate, quote. Natsuki, quote, quote. Natsuki, quote, thanks, I guess, but it doesn't feel like it, quote. Monica, quote, you can trust me, quote. Natsuki stands in silence for a moment, still fidgeting. Natsuki, quote, I just feel smart sometimes, quote. Natsuki, quote, I'm not used to someone being like all over me right after we meet, quote. Natsuki, quote, I mean, it's fun to hang out with her, but, quote. Natsuki, quote, I just have no control over the pace. I can't just meet someone and instantly become best friends with them and like share everything about myself. That's not how it works, quote. Natsuki, quote, I just want to chill out sometimes, quote. Monica, quote, oh, I didn't realize that was happening, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's fine, why would you have, quote. Monica, quote, I know, I just feel bad about it. I know Sayori, so I should have realized, quote. Monica navigates through her tinge of guilt, which has surfaced mainly due to her being the one who previously encouraged Sayori's behavior. Despite not knowing the situation, Monica can't help but feel a little responsible. Monica, quote, do you want me to talk to her about it, quote. Natsuki, quote, no, I wouldn't like it, quote. Monica, quote, well, I don't know, I could like divert her into another club activity for you, or something, quote. Natsuki, quote, no way, that would be so underhanded, and mean, quote. Monica, quote, sorry, I didn't think this one through, quote. Natsuki, quote, besides, just because I complained about it doesn't mean I'm asking for someone to solve my problems for me, quote.
Monica's first thought being underhanded and mean? Color me shocked.
Yeah, it is quite encouraging.
You know, even this Monica has shades of the other Monica, the main one.
Natsuki, quote, besides, just because I complained about it doesn't mean I'm asking for someone to solve my problems for me, quote. Monica, quote, true, quote. Monica, quote, I'm sorry, quote. Monica, quote, I guess I just instinctively want to try to solve problems, even if I haven't been invited to, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's fine, quote. Natsuki, quote, I would talk to Sayori about it, but it would make things really weird between us, quote.
Yes, and she prefers to solve problems with murder.
You know, I empathize.
Similar to you. You have that in common with Monica.
Natsuki, quote, I feel like it would make her just constantly be afraid that she's bothering me, quote. Natsuki, quote, I don't know how to just keep things natural, quote. Monica, quote, well, quote. Monica, quote, I think if you do a good job expressing all your feelings, she would totally understand, quote. Monica, quote, Sayori really wants to be the best she can be for other people. I think she would actually be happy that you want to improve your friendship with her, quote. Natsuki, quote, maybe, quote. Natsuki, quote, it just feels so dumb talking to someone about how to be friends with them, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's just weird and not cool, quote. Monica shrugs. Monica, quote, it's the literature club, quote. Then she mumbles through a stifled laugh. Monica, quote, it's not a cool club, quote. Natsuki, quote, hey, quote. Monica, quote, sorry, that just tickled me for some reason, quote. Monica, quote, look, I know that you're kind of in a tough spot, and that it's hard for you to really express yourself, quote. Monica, quote, but you really demonstrated to me that you're great at self-reflection and critical thinking, even if it doesn't feel like it to you, quote. Monica, quote, I think that's the most important part of being able to navigate through these things, quote. Monica, quote, so I believe that you'll find the right thing to do, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, quote. Natsuki instinctively starts to reject the compliment, but she can't find any excuse to do so. Natsuki, quote, thanks, quote. Natsuki gathers her things, then she finishes her thoughts in a mumble. Natsuki, quote, and I'm still glad I joined the club, even if it's weird sometimes, quote. Monica smiles, but Natsuki turns her back and walks away before waiting for a reply. It was an unusual way for Natsuki to express her appreciation, but Monica knew what she meant. It made Monica feel like everything really was going to be okay. DDLC.
Okay, that was quick.
Side stories.
Yeah.
Not a fan of Act 2 where decisions have basically no impact. Yeah, well, that's kind of the point. Also Act 3, especially. Although, there's one decision you can make in Act 3 that has a lot of impact. But yeah, that's basically the point of the entire game. Making you think that you have choices and then being like, ha, lol, no.
Nope.
DDLC side stories. Balance part 1. The side balance part 2. Balance part 2. Open side balance part 2. Side stories. It's lunchtime. Sayori, who usually buys her lunch, is making her way to the cafeteria like any other day. The clamor and bustle of the students is drowned by Sayori's impeccable skill of zoning out.
Again, I empathize.
Mm-hmm. God, I had to exercise that skill yesterday a lot. God, that was terrible.
Oh.
However, her imagination is momentarily interrupted by the glimpse of a familiar pink-haired girl. Sayori, quote, hey, that's Natsuki, quote. Sayori, quote, I never run into the other club members around the school, quote. Sayori, quote, Natsuki, I like you, tilde, quote. Sayori stands on her tiptoes and waves. Natsuki, who's busy walking and chatting with her friends, doesn't notice Sayori at first. Then, she glances over in Sayori's direction. Natsuki, quote, quote. Then, she glances over in Sayori's direction. Sayori waves enthusiastically. Natsuki, quote, quote. Following her friends, Natsuki quickly ducks around the corner. Sayori, quote, hey, quote. Sayori, quote, she definitely saw me, quote. Sayori, quote. Monica is the first to arrive to the club meeting, then Natsuki.
Yes, of course. That's gonna make Sayori feel great.
Sayori,
Yeah.
having glanced through the window to see Natsuki already inside, is unable to work up enough courage to enter. Sayori, quote, Natsuki.
I've definitely done that on accident.
Sayori, quote, Natsuki's been so distant with me, quote. Sayori, quote, I was stupid to think she ever wanted to be friends, quote. Sayori, quote, she only got excited because she got to share the manga, quote. Sayori, quote, but aside from that, she doesn't even like me, quote. Sayori, quote, I should just go home today, quote. Yuri, quote, quote. Yuri, quote, sorry, but do you plan on going inside, quote. Sayori, quote, no, quote. Yuri, quote, why, quote. Sayori, quote, I'm sulking, quote. Yuri, quote, oh, quote. Yuri, quote, well, I'm sorry for bothering you, excuse me, quote.
I love this interaction, like, oh, do you plan on going inside? No, why? I'm sulking.
Oh, okay, well.
Sorry. Carry on then.
Carry on
Don't
sulking.
let me stop you. You do you.
Sayori, quote, no, don't leave me, quote. Yuri, quote, oh, I'll stay here, then, quote. Sayori, quote, I don't want to go in. I'm afraid of bothering Natsuki, quote. Sayori, quote, I saw her at lunch today, so I waved and called out to her, but instead of saying hi, she just ran away from me, quote. Yuri, quote, really, quote. Yuri, quote, HM, not bad, quote. Sayori, quote, hey, quote. Yuri, quote, sorry, I'm sorry, that was a joke, quote. Yuri, quote, it just sounded like something stupid that I would do, from anxiety, quote. Sayori, quote, from anxiety, quote. Yuri, quote, well, I just don't like attention being drawn to myself, quote. Sayori, quote, oh, quote. Sayori, quote, well, that makes sense based on the person you are, quote. Sayori, quote, but Natsuki isn't shy like that at all, quote. Sayori, quote, I thought we were friends, quote. Sayori, quote, but it feels like every day she's just trying to distance herself more, instead of get closer, quote. Sayori, quote, it makes me feel like she was only spending time with me during the club because I was reading manga, but she doesn't actually want to be friends with me, quote.
Yeah. I mean, this is interesting because, like, I get the idea that Natsuki is, like, having trouble expressing herself, but, like, all of it, like, it boils down to, Sayori, you're just being a little too enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Can you, like, back down a little, and that's all? Like,
Down.
Yuri, quote, quote. Yuri, quote, well, I feel like I'm missing a lot of context here, quote. Yuri, quote, was she in the middle of anything when you approached her, quote. Sayori, quote, no, she was just walking with her friends, quote. Yuri, quote, with her friends, quote. Yuri pauses for a moment. Yuri, quote, how do I put this, quote. Yuri, quote, Sayori, you're very fond of your friends, right? You always Sayori, quote, of course, I don't think there's anything more important to me, quote. Yuri, quote, Sayori, you're very fond of your friends, right? You always want to be spending time with them, quote. Sayori, quote, I mean, the best parts of my day are always with my friends, quote. Sayori, quote, besides that, I really hate being alone, so, quote. Yuri, quote, you hate being alone, quote. Sayori nods. Yuri, quote, we're very different people, quote. Yuri, quote, I cherish my time alone, I wouldn't trade it for anything, quote. Yuri, quote, so, I think, quote. Yuri, quote, well, if I was trying to have alone time and it was being threatened with an interruption, then, quote. Yuri, quote, it just would not make me very happy, quote.
if my alone time was being threatened with interruption.
Yeah, that is how I think about it in my head. It is a threat.
Sayori, quote, yeah, but that doesn't have to do with Natsuki, quote. Sayori, quote, she was already with her friends, not trying to be alone or anything, quote. Yuri, quote, no, I think it's similar, quote. Yuri, quote, it's, well, we're all friends in the club, quote. Yuri, quote, but we have our own lives outside of the club as well, quote. Yuri, quote, if you think about it, quote. Yuri, quote, making new friends isn't some casual occurrence that happens on a daily basis, quote. Yuri, quote, a friendship is an invitation to intertwine your lives together, quote. Yuri, quote, but the capacity at which each person is ready to do that might be different, quote. Yuri, quote, there are friends who just like to have fun together, and others who talk every day and share every detail of their lives with each other, quote. Yuri, quote, I think when establishing a friendship, it's important to consider the comfort level of the other person, quote. Yuri, quote, I mean, we don't really know much about Natsuki's life outside of the club, quote. Yuri, quote, it could be that she simply needs to make friends at her own pace, rather than jump headfirst into a new commitment, quote. Sayori, quote, but, quote. Sayori, quote, that means I really was bothering her, quote. Sayori, quote, I just really wanted to be good friends with her, so I treated her like one, quote. Sayori, quote, was I actually hurting her, quote. Yuri, quote, I don't know, I'm sorry, quote. Yuri, quote, my insight was really only based on what I understand about my own needs, quote. Yuri, quote, and Natsuki and I are completely different, so, quote. Sayori, quote, why was I so selfish, quote. Sayori, quote, even if all this is true, then it still means I hurt her, quote. Sayori, quote, I think I messed up, quote. Sayori, quote, Yuri, with you, I think I was really careful to understand your needs when I was becoming friends with you, quote. Sayori, quote, but I wasn't careful at all with Natsuki because she already seemed really social, quote. Sayori, quote, I just took control of everything instead of looking for the right balance, quote. Sayori, quote, now I hurt her and she doesn't want to talk to me, quote.
Name drop of the side story. Balance.
Sayori, quote, how could I let myself do this, quote. Yuri, quote, Sayori,
Oh
quote.
yeah, true. I didn't spot that.
Yuri, quote, I think that, quote. Yuri, quote, well, there was one time you told me something about the way I saw things in my head being different from reality, quote. Yuri, quote, it's easy to automatically jump to the worst case scenario, but I think it's more likely that Natsuki doesn't harbor any ill feelings towards you, quote. Yuri, quote, so I think if we were to realistically consider the situation and how it would cause someone to feel, quote. Yuri, quote, I'm bad at this, I'm sorry, quote. Yuri, quote, you're a lot better than me at things like comforting and reassuring
What are
people,
you
quote.
talking about, Yuri? You've been the best therapist today. Holy shit.
Yeah, just using a lot of big words.
But you see,
But otherwise-
your emotional issues are solved with logic.
Yeah. Yuri's definitely the thinker archetype.
Oh yeah.
100%. We can sort them all into archetypes. Like,
Sayori is
Sayori
like
is
the
sensitive.
psyche...
Absolutely.
Yeah, sensitive.
100%. Now, Natsuki and Monica are a
Who's
bit more
physical?
difficult. Physical, I don't think that exists. Would be Natsuki, I guess. If we
Yeah,
had
and
to
what's Monica?
put someone in.
Monica's kind of also the thinker, but also a bit of the psyche one. I feel like Monica's
Monica-
a create your own character where you
Yeah,
just go a bit wild with
She's a
sliders.
custom. Yeah. What are her skills? By the way, guys, we started a playthrough of Disco Elysium on the channel.
Yeah, it's really fun.
New
We've been enjoying
uploads,
it.
new uploads on Wednesdays and Saturdays regularly. Go watch it. It's
We
fucking
have quite
great.
a backlog, so
It's
they'll
an
be
awesome
coming out for a
game.
while.
And feel free to drop a comment, drop comments of what you want to see and what you want us to do. We may not get to it in time because we're recording, ahead a little bit. But it's not like our previous pre-recorded series where we just recorded everything.
Yeah,
prior
we're
to
on
upload.
I think we're near the end of day one at the minute,
Yes.
for example, in the recordings. And we've only released the first 2.
Three.
So we are a good 3. Sorry, I
Yeah,
forgot about
yesterday was the third.
But yeah, we are a good chunk on.
Yeah, we are a bit ahead, but you can still shape the playthrough in some way if you drop a comment early enough. But yeah, that'd be interesting. Build these characters in Disco Elysium as a custom character. Make them give them the skills, give them the signature. What are the signature skills? Sayori's is empathy,
Logic.
100%.
Yeah, yours is logic.
Yours is it logic? Or is it
Logic or
encyclopedia?
encyclopedia? I feel like it's more logic though. She's not she doesn't throw out facts.
But is it also logic? Is it...
Really
Hang on, what do we have? What else do we have? Rhetoric, visual
not
calculus.
rhetoric. Not visual calculus, I don't think.
What are the other intellect ones? There's 2
I
more.
don't know. Fuck. Drama,
Drama? Not really.
my liege.
My liege, yes. One of my favorites, but
Yeah. It calls you sire. and,
yeah.
My liege.
And one more intellect skill. Which one is it? Logic, encyclopedia,
I actually
drama,
can't think of it. Fuck.
rhetoric, visual calculus.
Esprit de corps is an intellect.
No.
That's sensing or whatever that's got.
Oh,
that is.
conceptualization. Oh, that's her.
Oh, yeah,
That's her
that.
signature.
Yeah. Yeah. What's Natsuki's signature?
What's the baking skill? What do you need to be good at baking?
I don't think they have. Maybe depends what you're baking. If you're baking a very specific type of brownies, maybe electrochemistry.
Yeah. Savoir faire. That's like the cool skill. Looking cool. Hand-eye
doing cool
coordination.
jumps. The shooting skill. I was gonna say shooting X out of Y skill, but I won't because that's a spoiler.
What would Monica's be?
Like Half-Light or something. One of the weird ones. I still don't know what Half-Light even is technically.
It's the fight or flight response.
Ah, gotcha.
It wants you to be aggressive. I was watching a playthrough. He equipped something that boosts Half-Light, and instantly he got 2 Half-Light like pop-ins, and Half-Light was like super aggressive. You should punch a fucking hole in this door. So Half-Light just wants you to be fucking aggressive.
Okay, maybe not quite that for Monica then.
Composure? She's always like confident, composed.
Good one.
Yeah. Anyway, Disco Tangent. Go watch those uploads. Wednesdays and Saturdays. New episodes. It's a great game.
Yuri, quote, you're a lot better than me at things like comforting and reassuring people, quote. Suddenly, Sayori gives Yuri a gentle hug. Yuri, quote, quote. Sayori, quote, you're the best, Yuri, quote. Sayori, quote, I'm sorry for burdening you with this. You're trying so hard for me. You're such a sweetheart, quote. Yuri, quote, I just quote. Yuri, quote, it's not a burden, quote. Yuri, quote, I enjoy listening to others, quote. Yuri, quote, my friends deserve happiness, quote. Sayori beams. Sayori, quote, well, I think I'm gonna give Natsuki some space, quote. Sayori, quote, she should do what she wants, quote. Sayori, quote, and if she does still want to be friends, then I'll learn her needs, and I'll match her boundaries, quote. Sayori, quote, yeah, I'm sure that's what's best, quote. Sayori, quote, I wish I didn't feel so awful and guilty, quote. Sayori, quote, it makes me feel desperate, like I need to make it up to her by trying to make her happy, quote. Sayori, quote, but that's not what she needs. I just have to tell myself that, quote. Sayori, quote, it hurts, but I guess it means I still need to grow, quote. Sayori, quote, I really want to grow as a person, quote. Sayori, quote, if it's to be better for my friends, I want that, quote. Yuri, quote, that's very mature of you, Sayori, quote. Sayori, quote, quote. Sayori, quote, I'm mature, quote. Sayori hops up and down on her toes. Yuri, quote, so, does that mean you'll be going home after all, quote. Sayori shakes her head. Sayori, quote, I need to be here to show her that I respect her space, quote. Sayori, quote, I'll just spend the club by myself today, quote. Yuri nods in understanding. Sayori, quote, you can go in first, quote. Yuri, quote, okay, quote. Yuri, quote, quote. Yuri, quote, you're blocking the door, quote. Sayori, quote, quote. Sayori steps aside. Sayori, quote, by the way, quote. Before Yuri enters the clubroom, Sayori interjects. Sayori, quote, you said that you and Natsuki are completely different, but I don't really think that's true, quote. Sayori, quote, I think you're actually really similar in a lot of ways, quote. Yuri smiles and shakes her head. Yuri, quote, Sayori, that's absurd, quote. Yuri, quote, you're very silly sometimes, quote. Yuri turns and enters the clubroom. After a moment, Sayori follows. The clubroom is quiet. When Sayori walks in, Natsuki glances in her direction. Sayori smiles and gives Natsuki a quick wave before sitting down across the room. Yuri's face is already buried in a book. Sayori decides it's best to continue the manga she was reading, so she pulls it out. However, it looks like Natsuki isn't reading today. She has a sheet of paper in front of her and is tapping a pen against her desk, staring at it. Monica, quote, are we writing today, quote. Monica speaks in a quiet voice, unwilling to disturb the peace of the clubroom. She kneels down at Natsuki's desk. Natsuki, quote, H-A, quote. Natsuki pulls the sheet closer to her and covers it with her arms. Monica, quote, sorry, I didn't mean to peek, quote. Natsuki, quote, whatever, quote. Monica, quote, I just wanted to see how everything was going, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's fine, quote. Natsuki replies dismissively. She glances over at Sayori, who is focused on her manga. Monica follows Natsuki's gaze. Natsuki, quote, I think she's mad at me, quote. Monica, quote, how come, quote. Natsuki, quote, I'm busy right now, ask me later, quote. Monica falls silent. She inches her hand away from the top margin, allowing Monica to see. Monica falls silent. Natsuki
What
looks
a way
back
to
down at
end
the
the
paper.
conversation. Like, I'm busy right now, ask me later. It's like, it's like something an NPC would say. If
It
you're
really
too
is.
early for a quest. If
It
it's
really
like, oh,
is.
you need to wait 24 hours? No, I'm busy right now. Come back.
Yeah.
She inches her hand away from the top margin, allowing Monica to see. It says, quote, to Sayori, quote. Understanding, Monica smiles. She places a hand on Natsuki's shoulder and whispers softly. Monica, quote, I'm proud of you, quote. Natsuki, quote, quote. Natsuki looks away, but makes no motion to remove Monica's hand. Monica gives Natsuki's shoulder a quick squeeze before standing back up and pulling away.
Well done, Monica. Points on the not evil
The end of
asshole
the club meeting passes.
list.
Yeah.
Yuri has already departed.
Very two-sided character, Monica. Sometimes she's cool and sometimes she's absolutely terrible. Kind of depends on the day.
Yuri has already departed. So has Monica, after checking on Sayori and Natsuki to ensure they wouldn't stay too late. Sayori was determined to finish her manga volume before heading out, since the end was approaching. However, with Natsuki also staying late for an unknown reason, a silent tension hangs in the air. After finishing the volume, Sayori brings it to the closet to put it away. She slides it back onto the shelf while Natsuki watches. Then, Natsuki gets up and pulls it back out in order to return it to its proper location. Sayori, quote, sorry, quote. Sayori, quote, I didn't know where it's supposed to go, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's fine, quote. The two fall silent again, avoiding eye contact. They both look like they're about to say something, but neither can break the silence. A moment passes. Sayori, quote, well, quote. Sayori, quote, I'll be on my way, quote. Sayori, quote, see you tomorrow, quote. Natsuki, quote, quote. Sayori turns away to hide her pained expression, then walks away from the closet. If there was any proof Natsuki no longer wanted to be friends, this was it. Defeated, Sayori carries herself out of the club room. Once in the hallway, Sayori takes a deep breath and hits her palms against her cheeks to clear her head a little. Natsuki, quote, you dash on dash dash, quote. Suddenly, Natsuki's stammering voice calls from behind. Sayori, quote, Natsuki, quote. Startled, Sayori turns back around to face Natsuki. Natsuki fidgets and anxiously continues with a shaking voice. Natsuki, quote, I have a lot of things to say dash dash, quote. Sayori, quote, and dash me too, quote. Sayori, quote, but you go first, quote. Natsuki bites her lip and can't stay still. Natsuki, quote, well, first of all dash dash, quote. She cuts herself short, struggling to continue. Trying to force the words out, she stamps her foot and hops up and down a little. Natsuki, quote, I'm sorry for the thing I did at lunch, and I'm sorry for just being kind of me lately, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's really hard for me to like dash dash, quote. Natsuki, quote, I mean dash dash, I'm not good with things that make me uncomfortable, quote. Natsuki, quote, especially when it comes to like, quote. Natsuki, quote, like feelings and stuff, quote. Natsuki, quote, so, quote. Face burning, Natsuki clams up again. Instead of continuing, she simply holds up a sheet of paper for Sayori to take. The best place in the world, I love my bedroom. It's full of bright colors and soft things. The sunlight shines in and makes everything sparkle. It's the best place in the world. It has all my treasures, all my books, my collections, my memories. All of my dreams were born in this room. It's the best place in the world. It has all my secrets, all my failures, my fears, my feelings. Sometimes it feels so fragile that the door will break at the slightest touch, but it's still the best place in the world. But when someone knocks, I get scared. I brace my arms against the loose hinges. Please don't break. Don't come in. I'm not ready. It's my best place in the world. The knocking won't stop. I block the door with furniture, and I peek through the keyhole, and I panic. I'm trapped in the best place in the world. I'm not ready to share my favorite place. I need to clean my secrets and make my bed to hide my nightmares. I need to touch them to put them away, to see them again. I have so much to do and I'm scared. I'm not ready, but it's still my favorite place. I still want to share it, however long it takes. If you wait patiently, I'll eventually open the door, and I'll show you the best place in the world.
Indeed.
Once again, the poems in this continue to be uniquely like
The poems are...
touching is the best word. Normally, I don't really have much time for poetry, but somehow the ones in this just get me.
These poems are something else.
Sayori, quote, it's a poem, quote. Sayori, quote, but I thought dash dash, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, I sucked it up so that I could work things out with you, quote. Natsuki, quote, so just, quote. Natsuki, quote, just be happy about it, quote. Natsuki, quote, please, quote. Sayori smiles deeply, dash, dash,
just be happy, please.
Sayori smiles deeply, dash dash, from the bottom of her heart. Sayori, quote, I'm happier than I could express, quote. Sayori, quote, I feel so awful, but I'm so happy that you would do this for me, quote. Sayori, quote, I actually realized before the club meeting today that I made a mistake, quote. Sayori, quote, I got so caught up in the chance to get closer to you that I forgot to think about what you wanted, quote. Sayori, quote, and that we probably have different ways we like to make friends, quote. Natsuki, quote, quote. Natsuki, quote, about like the friendship stuff, quote. Natsuki, quote, I mean, quote. Sayori, quote, it's okay, quote. Sayori, quote, I understand, so you don't have to force yourself to talk about it, quote. Sayori, quote, your poem did a good job, quote. Sayori, quote, so don't force yourself if you're not ready yet, okay, quote. Natsuki nods. Sayori, quote, you don't have to feel like you did anything wrong. It was my fault and I'm sorry, quote. Sayori, quote, I wasn't mad at you today or anything like that. I actually felt really guilty and wanted to give you space, quote. Sayori, quote, I was thinking it's silly that I just approach you all the time, and then I should just let you approach me when you want to, quote. Sayori, quote, just whatever makes you comfortable. I respect that from now on. Friendships should always start with those things, quote. Sayori, quote, with the right balance, quote. Natsuki nods again. Natsuki, quote, one thing about that, quote. Sayori, quote, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, I don't want to have to approach you all the time, either, quote. Natsuki, quote, I just want it to be balanced, like you said, quote. Sayori nods. Sayori, quote, I understand, quote. Sayori, quote, we'll make sure of it together, then, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, anyway, quote. Now that the two of them have found common ground, Natsuki finds it easier to speak more freely again. Natsuki, quote, I'm not gonna be like sharing my poems all the time now, or anything like that, quote. Natsuki, quote, but, quote. Natsuki, quote, I guess it wouldn't hurt to do once in a while, only the best ones, quote. Natsuki, quote, so you better like them, because otherwise I might change my mind, quote. Sayori, quote, I like anything you do, Natsuki, quote. Natsuki, quote, dash dash, quote. Natsuki, quote, I was just saying, quote. Sayori, quote, more importantly, quote. Sayori, quote, I have to tell you about my new boyfriend, quote. Natsuki, quote, quote. Natsuki, quote, oh, from the manga, quote. Natsuki, quote, wait, I need to guess who it is, quote. Sayori, quote, you definitely won't be able to guess, quote. The two walk down the hallway together. Natsuki, quote, oh my god, we have so much to talk about, quote. Natsuki, quote, I should have told you to save the last two chapters so I could see your reaction to the big reveal, quote. Sayori, quote, or you wanted to enjoy it with me, quote. Sayori, quote, that's so cute, quote. Natsuki, quote, oh, shush, quote. Sayori, quote, quote. DDLC.
Nice.
All right.
Really heartwarming ending, unlike the first one. Not bittersweet at all.
Yeah. I feel like the Sayori and Natsuki friendship is just really natural, and this side story was a little manufactured because everyone needs a side story to get. Yeah, every pair of characters needs a side story. So this one was a bit, what do we do with Sayori and Natsuki? Like, they're pretty compatible. Unlike, say, Natsuki and Monica, but that was also like Monica was super, but it made sense though. It made sense for Monica to be a dick about manga. Or like Natsuki and Yuri. Natsuki and Yuri, that one's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I would say I expected more from Yuri.
Not a lot of chat today.
I was about to say, yeah, quick 2-second chat break. I'm going to run to the bathroom really quick. and then
You're
we can
the
keep-
only one here, I believe, Game Trier. Our regulars are slacking off. No, sorry for not chatting much. When you're not streaming. Oh, well, yeah, that's fine. Evil might be a little much, though. What, for Monica? No. Not enough.
Side stories. File. Mail. Picture. Music. Track 5. Play with me by Dan Solver. Track 4. Okay. Track. Toggle playback for play with me.
That track is great, by the way. Yeah, it's pretty good. The entire soundtrack is really good. Nice. You're gonna do the full thing. Awesome. So did you watch our DDLC streams before playing DDLC? So you already knew everything that was going to happen before you played, right? You got spoiled by our streams, unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah, but also seeing you play it, like, it's not as fun if you already know what's gonna happen. You know, most of the fun in watching someone else play DDLC is to see their reactions. Well, you don't have to do that.
Oops, I'm back. Sorry about that.
All right. 2 more stories to
Track
go.
4. Okay. Music. Pitch. Mail. 5. Side stories. Balance part 2. The side stories are...
This is...
Balance.
actually very appropriate music because we're going into the Natsuki and Yuri story.
Reflection Part 1. Reflection Part 1. Open side story. Reflection Part 1. Side stories. Monica, quote, am I bothering you? Quote. Yuri, quote, HM, no quote.
Oh wait, is this the Monica and Yuri one? Fuck. Might be the Monica and Yuri one.
Monica, quote, okay, just checking. It's hard to tell since you always look so into it when you're reading. It makes me scared to interrupt, quote. Yuri, quote, well, it's within my expectations to be interrupted when I read here. It's mainly when I'm by myself that I don't like it, quote. Monica, quote, that makes sense. I guess if you're here in the first place, then you're more ready to socialize, even if it takes a little bit of prodding, quote. Yuri, quote, it's not so bad to be social if I let others do the work, so it can be healthy to put myself in a social environment every now and then, quote. Yuri, quote, it's mostly difficult when I don't know anyone, or there are too many people, or everyone is being too silly for me to keep up with, quote. Yuri glances across the room at Sayori and Natsuki. Sayori has her head cocked back and her mouth open, trying to catch pieces of the cookie that Natsuki is lobbing into the air, but the pieces keep bouncing off her face and hitting the floor. Monica, quote, maybe I should say something, quote. Yuri, quote, no need, they just ran out of cookie. What a waste, quote.
What a waste, yeah.
Yeah.
God damn it, Sayori, you should have just eaten that.
Monica, quote, they've really become good friends, haven't they? I'm happy, quote. Yuri, quote, Sayori seems particularly good at making that happen, quote. Yuri, quote, but the two of them are both on the energetic side, so I suppose it works out well, quote. Monica, quote, yeah, come to think of it, you and I haven't had many chances to talk 1-on-1, have we, quote. Monica, quote, though that may be partially my fault, since I'm supposed to be the one engaging club members, quote. Yuri, quote, not at all, quote. Yuri, quote, I've probably formed a habit of drawing minimal attention to myself, quote. Yuri, quote, the responsibility is equally on me, at least to display some openness to engage, quote. Monica, quote, well, what about during times like lunch? Do you meet up with friends, quote? Yuri, quote, I just read, quote. Monica, quote, oh, quote. Yuri, quote, but I like it that way, quote. Yuri, quote, it feels nice to be carried off again after a morning of classes, quote. Monica, quote, do you always read fantasy, quote? Yuri, quote, oh, not always, quote. Yuri, quote, I suppose it's all I've read recently, but only because I'm in the middle of the series, quote. Yuri, quote, there are still 2 more books after this one, quote. Monica, quote, I guess those long books suit you well, since you spend so much time reading, quote. Yuri, quote, well, fantasy may be my favorite, but after that, I'm more or less indiscriminate to genres. I'll read anything with depth and maturity, quote. Monica, quote, oh yeah, quote. Monica, quote, even like romance, quote. Yuri, quote, well, quote. Yuri, quote, there are a lot of books that have elements of romance in them, quote. Monica, quote, oh, come on, Yuri, you know what I mean, quote. Monica lowers her voice. Monica, quote, it's a guilty pleasure of mine, so I won't tell anyone if you do too, quote. Yuri, quote, Yuri, quote, maybe more when I was in middle school, quote. Yuri, quote, I mean, I was really lonely, and people were mean to me a lot, quote. Yuri, quote, so it kind of felt like, quote. Yuri, quote, NGH, please don't make me think about the past, quote. Monica, quote, sorry, I just got super curious, quote. Monica, quote, you know, we should totally pick out a romance novel to read. That would be so much fun, quote. Yuri, quote, absolutely not, quote. Monica, quote, really, even if it was just between us, quote. Yuri, quote, try asking someone who has no shame, like Natsuki, quote.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Shots fired. Fucking hell.
Oh, shit, Yuri.
Monica, quote, touch, quote. Yuri, quote, dash, 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 sorry, I swear I didn't mean that, quote.
No, you meant it. Whenever she goes like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean that. No, you meant it.
Monica, quote, well,
Maybe
I guess
didn't
was my
mean it
fault for
that
pressing you.
harshly, but
Monica, quote, well, I guess it was my fault for pressing you. I'm like that for things in my past, too. You know, things I feel too embarrassed to read dash experience, quote. Yuri, quote, there's nothing wrong with growing out of things. It happens to everyone, quote. Yuri, quote, for instance, Natsuki's interest in manga reminds me quite a bit of how intense I used to be about my own interests, quote. Yuri, quote, it makes me think that she'll likely grow out of it, too, quote. Natsuki, quote, hey, were you talking about me, quote. Yuri, quote, dash, dash, no, we were just dash, dash, quote. Monica, quote, oh, we were just talking about how our interests have changed over the years, quote. Monica, quote, when did you get into manga? Natsuki, quote. Natsuki, quote, HM, like a couple years ago, I guess, quote. Natsuki, quote, I was already sort of into it before that, but I wasn't really going hard until then, quote. Monica, quote, oh yeah, what was it that inspired you to get more into it, quote. Natsuki, quote, I don't know, quote. Natsuki, quote, I guess, let me think, quote. Natsuki, quote, it was after I discovered a series that I really liked, quote. Natsuki, quote, yeah, I was just like, really fed up with a lot of things, and I got super into this one series that I really related to, quote. Natsuki, quote, I guess I had a magic phase where I just hated everyone around me and wanted to be by myself, quote. Monica, quote, hey, kind of like Yuri, quote. Yuri, quote, and dash Monica, quote. Monica, quote, sorry, quote. Yuri, quote, that's completely wrong, so, quote. Monica, quote, it's still cool that you both really found your thing, quote. Monica, quote, they're almost like opposites, but it sounds like they helped you a lot through hard times, quote. Natsuki, quote, you know it, quote. Yuri, quote, quote. Natsuki, quote, wow, what the heck, is that book even bigger than the last one you were reading, quote. Yuri, quote, quote. Yuri, quote, it's technically slightly longer, but not by very much, quote. Natsuki, quote, how high do you think it would go if you stacked up the whole series, quote. Natsuki estimates by holding her hand high above her head, sizing up an imaginary stack. Natsuki, quote, I should get one of those mangas that's like 50 volumes long so that I can say I've read more than you, quote. Natsuki, quote, not that I have the money for that, quote. Yuri, quote, please, that would hardly count when your books only have a few words per page, quote. Natsuki, quote, I know, I was just joking, quote. Natsuki, quote, I could never actually read books like yours, it's too boring for me, quote. Yuri shoots a glare at Natsuki. Yuri, quote, it's not boring, quote. Natsuki, quote, kill, I said for me, not for you, quote. Natsuki, quote, I can have my own opinion, I just think it's too convoluted, quote. Yuri, quote. Monica, quote, Sayori dash others from the floor, quote. Sayori, quote, NMPH, quote. Natsuki, quote, gross, quote. Natsuki, quote, also, wash your hands before touching any of my books, quote. Sayori, quote, but my hands aren't dirty, quote. Natsuki, quote, just do it, the oils are there even if you can't see them, quote. Sayori, quote, fine, quote. Sayori trots out the door, and Natsuki follows. Yuri, quote. Monica, quote, Yuri, you look a little upset, quote. Yuri, quote, what kind of nerve does she have to call my hobby boring, quote. Monica, quote, well, she did correct herself, quote. Yuri, quote, hardly, she was so condescending, quote. Yuri, quote, I don't mind if she thinks it's not for her, I already understand that it's not for everyone, quote. Yuri, quote, but she knows well how much these mean to me, so how about just leaving me alone instead of needlessly telling me the things you hate about it, quote. Monica, quote, I'm sorry, Yuri, quote. Monica, quote, you may be right, this won't be the last time people have strong feelings about what they like and don't like, quote. Monica, quote, especially in a literature club, so I should figure out how to mediate discussions to keep them positive and constructive, quote. Monica, quote, for the record, I've always been impressed by the level of creativity in your books, and also your ability to get through them so quickly, quote. Yuri, quote, thank you, quote. Monica, quote, okay, well, this is something that I'll have to think about and revisit. I'm sure I can help Natsuki find some common ground with you, quote. Yuri, quote, common ground isn't necessary, I just wish to be respected, quote. Monica, quote, that, then, either way, I'll do my best, quote. Yuri, quote, I'm skeptical when it comes to Natsuki, quote. Yuri, quote, I trust you, Monica, but I'm skeptical, quote. Monica, quote, okay, everyone, quote.
There it is.
Monica, quote, we have a special club meeting today, quote. Monica, quote, as you know, the literature club is a place where we get to share things that we're really passionate about, quote. Monica, quote, but it also means we should be mindful of how we respond to each other's feelings, quote. Monica, quote, I think we have a chance to turn our differences into positive energy for each other, quote. Natsuki, quote, aren't you being a little dramatic about this, quote. Monica, quote, this is important to me, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, sorry, I just feel like I'm being accused or something, quote. Monica, quote, no, I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'm sorry if I came off the way, quote. Monica, quote, but our conversation yesterday made me reflect on the power of language, and I thought it would be a good topic for the literature club, don't you think, quote. Monica, quote, I'm sure we're going to have differences in opinion a lot, so I need to make sure we're prepared to keep a positive atmosphere in the club, quote. Natsuki, quote, if you say so, quote. Monica, quote, sure, quote. Monica, quote, the cool thing about language is that it gives us a lot of different ways to express the same idea or emotion, quote. Monica, quote, we have a lot of control over how we want the other person to feel when receiving our thought, quote. Monica, quote, this goes for poetry, narratives, casual conversation, basically anything, quote. Monica, quote, for example, quote. Monica, quote, Sayori, what's your favorite food, quote. Sayori, quote, quote. Sayori, quote, I have them organized by category. Should I start with snacks? What do you mean for meals? Should I include breakfast, quote.
She has them categorized.
Monica, quote, oh, geez, quote. Monica, quote, okay, how about your favorite fruit, quote. Sayori, quote, that's easy, cherries, quote. Monica, quote, really, quote. Monica, quote, I always thought cherries tasted nasty, quote. Sayori, quote, what, quote. Sayori, quote, cherries are delicious, quote. Monica, quote, whoa, that's a pretty strong reaction, quote. Sayori, quote, well, dash, dash, I just don't understand how somebody could think cherries are nasty, quote. Monica, quote, how does it make you feel, quote. Sayori, quote, I don't know, sad, quote. Monica, quote, defensive, maybe, quote. Sayori, quote, yeah, I got defensive, quote. Monica, quote, see, the reason you had such a strong reaction wasn't just because I don't like cherries, quote. Monica, quote, it's because you felt like your opinion was under attack, quote. Monica, quote, but that's weird, right? Something like taste is completely subjective, quote. Monica, quote, but when I say something like I think cherries taste nasty, I'm using objective language, quote. Monica, quote, I'm challenging Sayori's reality that cherries are delicious with my own, which is that cherries are nasty, quote. Natsuki, quote, wait, hold on, quote. Natsuki, quote, how is that objective when you just said it was only your own opinion, quote. Monica, quote, it has to do with the way our brains interpret the word, quote. Monica, quote, you're talking about the reality of the cherries, not your feelings about them, quote. Monica, quote, like, Sayori, quote. Monica, quote, let's rewind for a second and pretend I didn't tell you that I think cherries are nasty, quote. Sayori, quote, good, quote. Monica, quote, so what if instead of that I said, like, I've tried cherries and they're not for me. It's not the kind of flavor I enjoy, quote. Sayori, quote, well, that's fine, quote. Sayori, quote, as long as you don't call them nasty, quote. Sayori, quote, nasty is a nasty word, quote. Monica, quote, okay, so cherries was kind of a weird example, but I think it gets the point across, quote. Monica, quote, this time around, instead of talking about the cherries, I just talked about my feelings, and Sayori didn't get defensive, quote. Monica, quote, so instead of clashing with each other, it's like we received an invitation to talk about our differences, quote. Monica, quote, Yuri, you don't need to take notes, I'm not democracy or something, quote. Yuri, quote, I know that, quote. Yuri, quote, I was just quote. Yuri, quote, quote. Monica, quote, sorry, I didn't mean to call you out, you can do whatever you like, quote. Monica, quote, but does anyone have any thoughts so far, quote. Natsuki, quote, yeah, I just feel like I shouldn't have to put all my language through a filter just to protect someone's feelings, quote. Monica, quote, well, you don't have to, the choice is yours on how you want to come across to other people, quote. Monica, quote, I'm only suggesting it as a tool to help turn your differences into a positive experience, rather than an argument, quote. Monica, quote, right, Sayori, quote. Sayori, quote, whatever you say, cherry dash hater, quote. Monica, quote, oh, come on, quote. Monica, quote, Sayori, I actually like cherries. I was just saying that to help demonstrate, quote. Sayori, quote, what the heck, quote. Sayori, quote, I've been duped, quote. Monica, quote, that, I'm sorry, Sayori, I'll make it up to you later, quote. Monica, quote, how about a cherry sundae, quote. Sayori, quote, you are welcome to dupe me anytime, my beloved president, quote. Yuri, quote, buying your people's loyalty, quote.
I respect that.
Natsuki, quote, oh, like you would turn down a free sundae, Yuri, quote. Natsuki, quote, you were certainly a fan of those cupcakes I brought in the other week, quote. Yuri, quote, that was dash dash, I mean dash dash, quote. Yuri, quote, I was reading and not keeping track of them, quote. Monica, quote, oh, that's enough, we're getting off dash topic, quote. Monica, quote, so now that we have the gist of it, how about we try it with something more relevant to the club, quote. Monica, quote, like manga, right, quote. Monica, quote, let's try to have a productive discussion about our differences in opinion, quote. Monica, quote, Yuri, do you want to start, quote. Yuri, quote, I'm dash dash, quote. Yuri, quote, well dash dash, quote. Yuri, quote, I dash dash, rather not, no, quote.
Yeah, I thought she was gonna say that. Yuri, do you want to start? No?
No, thank you.
Monica, quote, or, how come, quote. Yuri, quote, well, because, quote. Yuri, quote, I don't see how anything productive can come from that, quote. Yuri, quote, it's just going to start a fight, quote. Monica, quote, no, it'll be fine. That's why I'm here to moderate, quote. Monica, quote, let's just have a calm and rational discussion, quote. Natsuki, quote, yeah, give me a little more credit, quote. Natsuki, quote, I'm not a child, you don't have to coddle my feelings, quote. Natsuki, quote, I always think it's more respectable to just speak your mind, quote. Yuri, quote, respectable, quote. Yuri's expression changes at that word. As Monica recalls, being respected was the crux of the matter for Yuri. Monica, quote, well, the point of the exercise isn't exactly like, quote. Yuri, quote, it's fine, quote. Yuri, quote, I have nothing against anyone personally. You're entitled to enjoy whatever it is you like, quote. Yuri, quote, I just prefer more depth and nuance in my reading material, quote. Yuri, quote, I look for stories that are imaginative and sophisticated beyond the surface level, quote.
Ooh.
Natsuki, quote, oh, well, it's just a misunderstanding, end quote.
Here.
Natsuki, quote, oh, well, it's just a misunderstanding, end quote. Natsuki, quote, I thought you were gonna say that manga's for children or something, like I don't hear enough of it, quote. Natsuki, quote, but there's plenty of deep manga, quote. Yuri, quote, I'm not clueless about manga, quote. Yuri, quote, I read my own fair share when I was younger, quote. Natsuki, quote, what, are you serious, quote. Natsuki, quote, how come you never told me, quote. Yuri, quote, because I'm past the point in my life, and I really prefer not to revisit it, quote. Yuri, quote, I prefer more mature things now, quote. Natsuki, quote, excuse me, quote. Monica, quote, okay, hold on, dash,
And
dash,
we
can I
go
jump in here,
there.
quote.
Yep.
Monica, quote, okay, hold on, dash, dash, can I jump in here, quote. Monica, quote, let's try to keep things subjective, quote.
Yeah, debate club leader Monica.
Yeah.
Monica, quote, let's try to keep things subjective, quote. Monica, quote, because if you imply that manga is immature, then aren't you implying that someone is immature for being into it, quote.
Yes.
Yuri, quote, I, quote. Natsuki, quote, quote. Yuri, quote, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, maybe it's immature to judge people for having different tastes than you, quote. Monica, quote, Natsuki, dash, dash, quote. Sayori, quote, nobody's immature, quote. Sayori, quote, I read Natsuki's manga and Yuri's fantasy, and I love them both in their own way, quote. Natsuki, quote, okay, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's great that you like it, but I still find it boring, quote. Monica, quote, boring isn't subjective, quote. Natsuki, quote, okay, equals me, that's subjective, quote. Monica, quote, but, quote. Monica, quote, I mean, the thing about, quote. Yuri, quote, this is ridiculous, quote. Yuri, quote, do you see why I didn't want to participate in this, quote. Yuri, quote, I knew it was just going to make people upset, quote. Natsuki, quote, I'm not upset, quote. Natsuki, quote, like I said, I don't care what other people think, quote. Natsuki, quote, but I always got the impression that you secretly looked down upon me, so I'm glad my suspicions were confirmed, quote. Yuri, quote, that's not true at all, you're making assumptions, quote. Yuri, quote, you can't blame me for getting defensive when nobody ever has the least bit of respect for the things that I'm into, quote. Yuri, quote, the only thing I look down upon is when people make fun of me for just being myself and trying to mind my own business, quote. Natsuki, quote, what? Have you looked in a mirror, quote? Natsuki, quote, tell me again about respect after calling all of my interests immature, quote. Yuri, quote, you can't dash, quote. Sayori, quote, please stop, quote. Sayori, quote, please, quote. Sayori, quote, you don't mean the things you're saying right now, quote. Sayori, quote, let's just be friends, quote. Yuri, quote. Natsuki, quote. Monica, quote, I didn't mean for this to happen, quote. Yuri, quote, well, it did, quote. Yuri, quote, so please don't invite yourself to try and solve other people's problems next time, okay, quote. Monica, quote. Yuri's piercing words send the club room into a choked silence as she gathers her things. She leaves. Natsuki, quote, holy crap, quote. Natsuki, quote, I've never heard her sound like this before. She must be so pissed, quote. Monica, quote, well, you weren't very nice either, so, quote. Natsuki, quote, I was just saying, quote. Sayori, quote, how did this happen, quote. Monica, quote, it's my fault, quote. Monica, quote, Yuri wasn't wrong. I shouldn't have tried to moderate a conflict when I know how bad I am at dealing with conflicts, quote.
You were in the debate club. How are you in the
difference there? Like, I would not classify a debate as a conflict. Everyone's kind of going in.
I guess a debate
like,
is
very
more
personally detached.
a debate is more of like if it's an actual debate, a structured one with arguments, that's very different than this sort of thing.
Yeah, like a debate and an argument are very different things. Like in a debate, I feel like no one's super personally attached.
So
well,
they-
even if they are, they keep it professional, and it's more about the validity of the
Well,
argument.
unless it's Professor Bartholomew Barrington.
Oh yeah, in a debate, he is definitely firing below the belt shots all the time.
We still need to do the debate stream.
We do. That would be incredible. We need to make a thing to let the two agents talk to each
Yeah,
other.
I don't know how we're gonna do that. We need to.
Like,
I
we
need
could
to
just
wait for
cue them
Letta.
off each other.
The problem is, I need to wait for Letta to fix their voice shit, so I can. I haven't been keeping up with Letta's lately, but they've been making a lot of changes, and a lot of the changes haven't been introduced to the open source. They've been neglecting the open source self-hosted part, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I'm waiting for them to fix their shit. And then maybe we can get them both on voice. Oh, we also need to come up with some debate topics. You know, what's the debate going to be
like-
about?
Something about their tones, like, what helps the student learn more, like reasonable discourse, or how would you even characterize Barrington's approach?
More
aggressive
aggressive
language,
more-
methodologies.
more aggressive pedagogical methods.
Monica, quote, Yuri wasn't wrong. I shouldn't have tried to moderate a conflict when I know how bad I am at dealing with conflicts, quote. Monica, quote, it was a really stupid thing for me to do, quote. Sayori, quote, it's nobody's fault, and it wasn't stupid, quote. Sayori, quote, everyone in the club is a nice person. Nobody would have expected this, quote. Sayori, quote, but I guess we're sensitive about the things we really love, quote. Natsuki, quote, honestly, she kind of brought it upon herself, quote. Natsuki, quote, like I said, I don't care if you're not into manga, but if you actually look down on other people for it, quote. Monica, quote, that's kind of the point I was trying to make in the first place, quote. Monica, quote, it's not about sugar dash coding things, it's about just recognizing and understanding our differences, quote.
Oh, hello, AI.
Natsuki, quote, okay, but here's the thing about that, quote. Natsuki, quote, Yuri actually looks down on me. It has nothing to do with her word choice or anything like that, quote. Natsuki, quote, so I see what you were trying to do, but I really think the problem here is her, not just like the way we talk to each other, right, quote.
She does, though. Yuri's very judgmental.
Yeah, she is. I'll give you that.
Monica, quote, I mean, quote. Sayori, quote, Yuri isn't like that. She's a lot sweeter than you're giving her credit, quote. Sayori, quote, I'm sure she'll be reflecting on this. I actually think everyone should, quote. Monica, quote, it'll be fine, quote. Monica, quote, I'll figure something out, quote. Monica, quote, well, I'm just like saying that instinctively, quote. Monica, quote, I'm just setting myself up to cause more problems, quote. Natsuki, quote, this wasn't your fault. Monica, you don't have to beat yourself up over it, quote. Natsuki, quote, if you ask me, it's good that the truth finally came out, quote. Natsuki, quote, because I can just move on now, quote. Sayori, quote, but, quote. Sayori, quote, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's fine, I promise, quote. Natsuki, quote, let's just get our mind off this, okay, quote. Natsuki, quote, in fact, it's a good opportunity to read some manga without having to worry about feeling Yuri's superiority complex, quote. Sayori, quote, don't be mean, quote. Sayori, quote, I'll talk or read manga or whatever you want, but don't be mean to my friends, okay, quote. Natsuki, quote, sorry, quote. Natsuki, quote, I'm just bitter, quote. Monica, quote, everything will be okay, quote. Monica, quote, I mean, I don't have the answers, but, quote. Monica, quote, I at least know that we're all good people and don't want to hurt each other, quote. Monica, quote, this will be a learning experience, quote. Monica says that, but her uneasiness is given away by how much she has to force the reassuring tone in her voice. This was bound to happen eventually. Natsuki and Yuri have always engaged with each other the least out of anyone, and this is the reason. As Sayori and Natsuki proceed to distract themselves with manga, Monica sighs to herself, unable to shake her worried thoughts. Will the club really have to just come to terms with the fact that some members will be incompatible with each other? Monica desperately doesn't want to admit that dash and she knows Sayori doesn't either. But for once, a solution doesn't seem to be in sight. DDLC.
Okay. Chat. There's been a bit of chat.
Yeah, I heard a few pop off there.
That is my favorite track, actually. Probably talking about the One Panic one. That sort of feels like a jab on some DDLC players, though. What, like the romance stuff? Again, what is it, the trotting? Yeah. Hello AI. Oh, that was the. It's not just about thing. It's about
It's one.
thing. We noticed that a lot because AI does it like every time. Every sentence there's one of those. If you don't prompt it to not do that. By the way, where's Gemini 3?
Yeah, I don't know. They've been on 2.5 for a while.
Yeah. Everyone else has moved on with their new models, and Gemini's like... I'm hoping this means they're cooking, and Gemini 3 is going to be absolutely ridiculous. But it could also be that they don't know what they're doing. You know, they don't have anything good to show.
Side stories. Reflection part 1. Reflection part 2.
But yeah, also we were talking, Game Trier and I, between, like, as you were gone, only he's been chatting. There's no one else. Our regulars have abandoned us.
Yeah, it's been very quiet today.
Philip the Idiot and Robust, who's not been very robust lately. He's been missing a lot of streams.
Reflection part 2.
And yes, Robust, if you're watching the VOD, you're being very flimsy. You're being a little bitch. Can't watch the streams. What is the threshold of being a regular? Well, they've been regulars for like a year. They've been chatting on the Discord and everything, and watching pretty much all the streams. They've been on voice with us as well and everything. You are turning into a regular. You've been consistent for 3 streams. So you may yet become a regular.
Self-love part. Reflection part 2.
But yeah.
Reflection part 2. Open reflection part 2. Side stories. A new day arrives. Sayori arrives at the club room earlier than usual, but is not late. As she enters, it appears to be empty still. So, she sits down at a desk and pulls out a sheet of paper, primed to jot down her thoughts. Sayori has made a habit of scribbling her thoughts and feelings onto paper whenever possible, as it tends to serve as her best inspiration for poetry. Sayori, quote, Sayori, quote, my heart feels vacant because the ship sailed away, quote. Natsuki, quote, dear, quote. Sayori, quote, dear, quote. Sayori, quote, Natsuki, quote. Natsuki pokes her head out from behind the closet door. Natsuki, quote, out of her, sorry, didn't mean to scare you, quote. Natsuki, quote, but it would have been a lot more awkward if I didn't say anything, quote. Natsuki, quote, don't you want me listening in on your poetry thing, quote. Sayori, quote, why dash yeah, quote. Sayori, quote, thanks for realizing that, quote. Natsuki, quote, should I let you finish that up, then, quote. Sayori, quote, oh, no, it wasn't, I mean, I just do it whenever it's convenient, you're not interrupting, quote. Natsuki, quote, where's Monica, by the way, quote. Sayori, quote, oh, she's out in the hallway, quote. Natsuki, quote, why, quote. Sayori, quote, well, quote. Sayori, quote, just in case she runs into Yuri, quote. Sayori, quote, sometimes Yuri is too nervous to come into the club room by herself, so, quote. Natsuki, quote, oh, quote. Natsuki, quote, geez, does Yuri really let things bother for that long, quote. Sayori, quote, she can't control her feelings, quote. Sayori, quote, for some people, it's really hard to cope when you get a bad thought in your head, quote. Sayori, quote, maybe you can distract yourself for a little while, quote. Sayori, quote, but as soon as it's just you and your thoughts again, it comes back, quote. Natsuki, quote, NGH, quote. Sayori, quote, HM, quote. Natsuki, quote, I just want us to have a normal club meeting, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's a lot easier to pretend like it never happened if we all just ignore it and move on, quote. Natsuki, quote, I don't want to be bothered by this, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's so stupid, her opinion of me doesn't matter anyway, quote. Natsuki, quote, besides, it makes me feel really guilty, and I hate that, too, quote. Sayori, quote, it's okay to have feelings, quote. Sayori, quote, it doesn't make you weak, quote. Natsuki, quote. Sayori, quote, let's figure this out together, quote. Natsuki, quote, fine, quote. Natsuki, quote, only because you're good at this stuff, quote. Sayori, quote, let's try to come up with a happy scene, quote. Sayori, quote, maybe that will help us understand where your bad feelings are coming from, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, I was happy the way things were before we had to have the conversation yesterday, quote. Sayori, quote, what part of the conversation made you upset, quote. Sayori, quote, was it Yuri being mean about the manga, quote. Natsuki, quote, maybe, I doubt it, though, quote. Natsuki, quote, because my friends and other people make fun of manga all the time, but I just brush it off and ignore them, quote. Natsuki, quote, but something about it really got to me this time, and I hate that I'm letting that happen, quote. Sayori, quote, is it because it came from Yuri, quote. Natsuki, quote, no, why would that matter, quote. Natsuki, quote, I mean, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, dash, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, maybe, quote. Natsuki, quote, I hate that she thinks she's so much better than me, just because she likes to pretend to be all sophisticated, quote. Natsuki, quote, yeah, that's what it is. At least other people decide that they don't like me, or manga, or whatever, quote. Natsuki, quote, but Yuri acts like she's too good to even give it a chance, quote. Sayori, quote, I'm sorry, quote. Sayori, quote, everyone deserves a chance, quote. Natsuki, quote, yeah, exactly, quote. Sayori, quote, would you give Yuri's books a chance, quote. Natsuki, quote, after this, obviously not, quote. Sayori, quote, what about before this, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, quote. Natsuki, quote, I would until I got bored, which wouldn't take very long, quote. Natsuki, quote, but if you actually keep an open mind, then it's not hard to realize that the story can be deep and meaningful without being needlessly complicated, quote. Sayori, quote, I see, quote. Sayori, quote, but you know, I like Yuri's books, quote. Natsuki, quote, yeah, but you like manga more, right, quote. Sayori shakes her head. Sayori, quote, I like them both, quote. Sayori, quote, I like them in different ways, but I like them both, quote. Sayori, quote, I mean, the manga, it's really honest and fun and easy to just let go with, quote. Sayori, quote, and the fantasy has a lot to interpret and uncover, and it's really rewarding to have some good quiet time together with it, quote. Sayori, quote, but the most important thing is that both of that both the manga and the fantasy are true to themselves, quote. Sayori, quote, so I love them both, quote. Sayori, quote, and I think there's room for both of them to be in the same club together, quote. Sayori, quote, and I just feel like maybe they have more in common than you would think, quote. Natsuki, quote. Natsuki, quote, how do you get along with everyone so well, quote. Natsuki, quote, I always get into fights with people, quote. Natsuki, quote, like first it was with Monica when I was new to the club, quote. Natsuki, quote, and then it was you, and now it's Yuri, quote.
Oh, maybe Natsuki's skill is half-light. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, Natsuki's definitely half-light.
Natsuki, quote, and I'm always like, oh, that person is being such a jerk, and if they just realized that, then we could at least get along, quote. Natsuki, quote, but nobody else has this problem, quote. Natsuki, quote, I just keep running away from the reality that everybody's just a jerk to me because nobody likes me, quote. Natsuki, quote, and I don't know why, and I don't know what to do about it, quote. Natsuki, quote, I don't know what's wrong with me, quote. Natsuki, quote, I hate it, quote. Sayori, quote, Natsuki, quote. Sayori puts a comforting hand on Natsuki's shoulder. Sayori, quote, you're a wonderful person. You deserve to be loved as much as everyone else, quote. Sayori, quote, everyone has different ways they like to communicate, you know, and sometimes that makes it harder for us to understand each other, quote. Sayori, quote, I think that sometimes we get lucky and we make friends who are really good at the same kinds of communication, and it feels like you magically connect with them, quote. Sayori, quote, but other times, even if both people are really nice, it's easy for them to misunderstand each other or to get the communication wrong, quote. Sayori, quote, it's something that Yuri struggles a lot with too, quote. Sayori, quote, it can be really hard. It takes a lot of, like, reflection and self-awareness, quote. Sayori, quote, and vulnerability, quote. Natsuki, quote, I'm bad at that one, quote. Natsuki, quote, vulnerability, quote. Natsuki, quote, I always have to be the strongest, quote. Sayori, quote, what do you mean, quote. Sayori, quote, tell me about that part of you, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, quote. Natsuki, quote, it sounds stupid, but I'm really used to people being mean to me, quote. Natsuki, quote, like my friends, and I guess my dad, like when I don't get good grades, or even stupid things like if my room isn't clean, quote. Natsuki, quote, so what am I gonna do? Cry about it, quote. Natsuki, quote, if I let myself get upset, then it's just letting them win. I'm better than it, quote. Natsuki, quote, I'm better than all of them, quote. Natsuki, quote, so things always have to be everyone else's fault, quote. Natsuki, quote, it feels like if something goes wrong, and there's even a tiny hint that it might be my fault, then, quote. Natsuki, quote, I just get really angry, and I find ways to blame everything else instead, quote. Sayori, quote, do you see yourself as better than Yuri, quote. Natsuki, quote. Natsuki, quote, if I said that, then I would just sound really full of myself, quote. Sayori, quote, no, quote. Sayori, quote, our thoughts and our feelings are two different things, quote. Sayori, quote, even if we don't like our feelings, we have to understand them if we want to learn more about themselves, quote. Sayori, quote, that's a part of vulnerability, you know, accepting that we have feelings that we don't like, quote. Natsuki, quote, Natsuki, quote, I hate that, quote. Natsuki, quote, my feelings make me a bad person, quote. Natsuki, quote, because my feelings just want to tell me that I'm so much better than her, quote. Natsuki, quote, that she's a judgmental no dash it dash all who's stuck in her edgy phase and that I'm just way above that garbage, quote. Natsuki, quote, but I'm terrible for feeling that way, quote. Sayori, quote, you're not terrible, quote. Sayori, quote, you are not your feelings, quote. Natsuki, quote, but, quote. Sayori, quote, you are not your feelings, quote. Sayori, quote, say that to yourself, out loud, quote. Natsuki, quote. Natsuki, quote, fine, quote. Natsuki, quote, I am not my feelings, quote. Sayori, quote, the way that I like to picture it is that those feelings are like your roommate, quote. Sayori, quote, you live in the same house and you got to see each other every day, quote. Sayori, quote, and even if you can ignore each other most of the time, you're gonna run into each other every now and then, and it's gonna make you feel like good, quote. Sayori, quote, so the other option is to get to know each other, quote. Sayori, quote, you can communicate and learn from each other, and maybe even help each other change for the better, quote. Sayori, quote, does it help you understand, quote. Natsuki, quote, how do you know so much about this stuff, quote.
Sayori the therapist coming in.
I genuinely think Sayori would be a great therapist.
Oh yeah.
Sayori, quote. Sayori, quote, I just have a roommate that can be really hard to get along with, quote. Sayori, quote, called depression, quote. Natsuki, quote, depression, quote. Natsuki, quote, but you're like the happiest person I know, quote. Sayori, quote, I am not my feelings, quote. Natsuki, quote. Natsuki, quote, I want to be a good person like you, quote. Sayori, quote, AWW, you little sweetheart, quote. Sayori, quote, we're all good people, quote. Sayori, quote, you and Yuri and Monica, quote. Sayori, quote, and I think Yuri will eventually learn that about you, quote. Natsuki remains silent, feeling a little overwhelmed. Despite Sayori's kind reassurance, a complicated mixture of pain and sadness seems to fill her, as though flowing from a wound inside her. Was it a result of her vulnerability? No dash, it wasn't as though she was inflicted a wound after becoming vulnerable. No M dash, it wasn't as though she was inflicted a wound after becoming vulnerable. It was as though she began to rediscover an old wound dash one that cannot simply be bandaged and left alone any longer. It was as though she began to rediscover an old wound M dash one that cannot simply be bandaged and left alone any longer. Monica, quote, Yuri, what are you doing all the way over here, quote. Monica, quote, I was looking for you, quote. Yuri, quote, dash, quote. Yuri, quote, please don't yell at me, dash, quote. Monica, quote, oh, I'm not going to yell at you, quote. Monica, quote, I just wanted to say that I'm sorry about what happened yesterday, quote. Monica, quote, it was unfair for me to put everyone on the spot like that, quote. Monica, quote, next time I would just try to jump in and solve everyone's problems. I guess it's a bad habit of mine, quote. Yuri, quote, you're not dash mad at me, quote. Monica, quote, I thought you were the one mad at me, quote. Yuri, quote, I was so awful yesterday, quote. Yuri tells up, recalling the details of the argument. Yuri, quote, I can't even have a normal conversation without saying something wrong and making everyone upset, quote. Monica, quote, hold on, that's not what happened at all, quote. Monica, quote, let's talk about this, okay, quote. Yuri, quote. Yuri pauses for a second, then manages not. Monica takes a seat next to her on the staircase. Yuri, quote, I'm having a lot of negative thought patterns and I can't get away from them, quote. Monica, quote, what kinds of negative thought patterns, quote. Yuri, quote, like everyone hates me, quote. Yuri, quote, especially Natsuki, quote. Monica, quote, oh, that's terrible, quote. Monica, quote, I don't think Natsuki hates you, quote. Yuri, quote, how do you know, quote. Monica, quote, well, because, quote. Monica thinks back to the time that she herself found herself in an altercation with Natsuki. And how a display of maturity from Monica was enough for Natsuki to reevaluate her own feelings as well. Monica, quote, I think Natsuki is just naturally defensive, quote. Monica, quote, I think she acts mean when she feels the need to protect herself, quote. Monica, quote, but you know, she's really not a bad person. In fact, I think she can be really thoughtful and considerate, quote. Monica, quote, she just, well, I guess the way it works is that she wants to receive some degree of kindness first before she feels comfortable returning it, quote. Yuri, quote, oh, quote. Yuri, quote, but it means the burden is on me, quote. Yuri, quote, and I don't know how to say things that make people like me, quote. Yuri, quote, every time I open my mouth, I just dash, quote. Yuri shakes her head at herself and tugs on her hair. Monica, quote, it's okay, Yuri, you don't need to beat yourself up, quote. Monica, quote, I think anyone would like you if they had the chance to get to know you, quote. Yuri, quote, well, unfortunately, the opposite is true, quote. Yuri, quote, that's why I'm not talkative anymore in the first place, quote. Yuri, quote, because everyone used to think I was weird and talk about me behind my back, quote. Yuri, quote, that's just what happens when I draw attention to myself, quote. Yuri, quote, Natsuki even said she found it more respectable when people speak their mind, so I did, and then she hated me anyway, quote. Yuri, quote, that was enough to confirm my fears, quote. Monica, quote, but Sayori and I like you, and we've gotten to know you a lot by now, right, quote. Yuri, quote, quote. Yuri doesn't seem to have a response. Monica, quote, hey, what do you think of Natsuki, quote. Yuri, quote, I don't think about her, quote. Monica, quote, that's not what I meant, really, quote.
I don't think about her. Ooh, like, Yuri is so literal, and I love it.
Yeah, Yuri has the best one-liners. He just fires a shot straight for the heart.
Yuri, quote, I just quote. Yuri, quote, quote. Monica, quote, I was just wondering if you had an opinion of her, quote. Yuri, quote. Yuri, quote, I do, quote. Monica, quote, what is it, quote. Yuri, quote, Natsuki seems to bring out the worst in me, and I feel really ashamed of it, quote. Yuri, quote, I like to think of myself as a fairly sophisticated person, quote. Yuri, quote, so for someone to just treat me like I'm inferior, despite my tastes, quote. Yuri, quote, that's just the worst kind of insult coming from someone like her, quote. Yuri, quote, and it makes me think bad things about her, quote. Yuri, quote, but everyone else seems to like her, so the only explanation is that it's me who's doing something wrong again, quote. Yuri, quote, and my feelings about her are wrong, quote. Yuri, quote, and I'm wrong to get upset over something so childish and inconsequential, quote. Monica, quote, no, Yuri, quote. Monica, quote, feelings are never wrong, quote. Yuri, quote, well, they're not right, quote. Monica, quote, that's the thing, quote. Monica, quote, feelings are never right or wrong, you know, quote. Monica, quote, they're just a state of being that we don't always have control over, quote. Monica, quote, but that doesn't mean they have to control us, quote. Monica, quote, I feel like that's something I learned around when I first started the club, quote. Monica, quote, we can hate ourselves for feeling a certain way about things, quote. Monica, quote, or we can, you know, just acknowledge that they exist and try to understand them better, quote. Monica, quote, I could never be mad at you for just feeling a certain way, quote. Monica, quote, it's about how you handle them, quote. Monica, quote, and I think working through feelings is a great opportunity for teamwork, quote. Yuri, quote. Yuri, where's objective expression? Yuri, quote, you make it sound so easy, quote. Yuri, quote, you're so mature, quote. Yuri, quote, and so good with people, quote. Yuri, quote, I feel like such a child in comparison, quote. Monica, quote, oh, Yuri, quote. Monica, quote, I'm far from perfect, quote. Monica, quote, but these are learning skills. They didn't come naturally to me, either, quote. Monica, quote, it's really hard to reflect on yourself and separate your feelings from your thoughts, quote. Yuri, quote. Yuri, quote, I just want to be a good person, quote. Monica, quote, well, I think it takes a good person to get this far, quote. Yuri, quote, that's not good enough, quote. Yuri, quote, I want to be able to communicate it to her, quote. Monica, quote, communicate what, quote. Yuri, quote, how I feel, quote. Yuri, quote, how it makes me feel frustrated and upset when she's so negative and dismissive of the things that mean so much to me, quote. Yuri, quote, and how quote. Yuri, quote, how it reminds me of me, quote. Yuri, quote, because I know what it's like to feel misunderstood and angry at everyone, quote. Yuri, quote, I know that telling yourself you're better than everyone else is just a defense mechanism, quote. Yuri, quote, we're just people, quote. Yuri, quote, we're fragile and unstable, quote. Yuri, quote, but I'm just tired of it getting in the way, quote. Yuri, quote, I can't stand it when the peace is disturbed like this, quote. Monica, quote, yeah, you can't focus on your reading when the peace is disturbed, right, quote. Yuri, quote, because I, quote. Yuri, quote, because, quote. Yuri, quote, the literature club should be happy for everyone, quote. Monica, quote. Monica looks at Yuri in adoration. Monica, quote, I feel like Sayori must be rubbing off on me, cause I really want to hug you now, quote. Yuri, quote, quote. Monica, quote, sorry, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable, quote. Yuri, quote, no, I'm dash, quote. Yuri, quote, I mean dash, quote. Yuri, quote, well, if you wanted to, then I wouldn't really mind, so, quote. Monica pulls Yuri into a short embrace. Monica, quote, you're so gentle, quote. Monica, quote, and I love when you communicate your feelings, quote. Monica, quote, I feel lucky to get to see this side of you, quote. Monica, quote, and I'm sure Natsuki will, too, quote. Yuri, quote, I'm going to write her a letter, quote. Monica, quote, oh, a letter, what a great idea, quote. Yuri, quote, just because I'm not good at talking, especially under pressure, quote. Yuri, quote, I always let my feelings get the best of me, and I forget to say all the important things, and I say things I don't mean, quote. Monica, quote, well, I think a letter would be wonderful, quote. Monica, quote, such a nice way to communicate, quote. Yuri's face hardens with determination. Yuri, quote, people don't naturally gravitate towards me like they do you and Sayori, quote. Yuri, quote, my personality just isn't suited for the quote. Yuri, quote, and I wouldn't want it to be, quote. Yuri, quote, but something I've learned is that friendships don't always just magically appear out of thin air, quote. Yuri, quote, for instance, I never would have seen myself making friends with someone like Sayori, quote. Yuri, quote, we're opposite in a lot of ways, quote. Yuri, quote, but I'm friends with her because she put so much effort into understanding me so that we can get along, quote. Yuri, quote, I think it was the same with you. You both gave me a lot of time and patience, quote. Yuri, quote, and I wonder if she feels the same way, quote. Monica, quote, Natsuki, quote. Yuri nods. Yuri, quote, I always thought that if I wanted to make more friends, I had to be somebody that I'm not, quote. Yuri, quote, that there's a type of person or a magical formula I have to follow in order to make someone like me, quote. Yuri, quote, and that's just like me to think that, always so occupied with myself that I fail to understand other people, quote. Yuri shakes her head. Yuri, quote, friendship happens when you think about the other person, quote. Yuri, quote, when you offer time and effort to understand them and respect them and trust that they also want to be a good person, quote. Yuri, quote, that's what I learned through my observations in the literature club, quote. Monica, quote, observations, quote. Monica is caught by surprise. Yuri has always kept to herself so much that it's so unusual to hear her suddenly talking about the club like this. But Yuri gently smiles to herself. Yuri, quote, you always let me listen to your thoughts about people, quote. Yuri, quote, Sayori, too, quote. Yuri, quote, and it makes me happy because I learn a lot of things, quote. Monica, quote, that's so sweet. I had no idea it meant that much to you, quote. Monica never thought much of it, but in the past weeks, Yuri always seemed to be especially attentive when it came to the problems and concerns of others. Always wanting to listen and learn more about her friends in the club. It's true Sayori and Monica are naturally more comfortable with other people and can more easily work through situations of conflict. But that doesn't make them better people. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses and the capacity to improve. And the first step towards improving oneself is reflection and self-awareness. It's something that Yuri never gave herself enough credit for, but that Monica can recognize as an incredible trait. And with that, her confidence in the club is restored. A very shy girl with long, pretty hair is wandering the bustling lunchtime hallways, her fists pressed into her collarbone. When she finds the literature club president's classroom, she stands at the door, glancing all around her before peering inside. Monica is sitting and chatting with a group of unknown friends. Yeah, as expected, this was a bad idea after all. Suddenly, Monica glances towards the door, making the girl panic and duck out of sight. Before she can regain composure and decide for sure to leave, the classroom door gently opens. Monica, quote Yuri, what a surprise to see you during lunch, quote. Yuri speaks a response. Yuri, quote, please help me, quote. Monica, quote, what, is everything okay, quote. Yuri shakes her head. Yuri, quote, I don't know how to write letters, quote. Monica, quote, at her, thank goodness, I thought there was some kind of emergency, quote. Monica briefly glances over her shoulder at her other friends. Monica, quote, do you want some help? We can go find an empty classroom or something, quote. Yuri, quote, is it okay, quote. Yuri, quote, I feel bad taking you away from your friends, quote. Monica, quote, it's totally fine, I promise, we weren't really doing anything, one sec, quote. Monica trots back into her classroom, says something like, quote, I got to go, quote, to her friends, then grabs a pen off her desk before returning.
Oh no, it's spreading.
Monica is a horse.
It's spreading.
Who's next?
Monica, quote, okay, let's find somewhere quiet, quote. Yuri nods and follows Monica as the two of them set off. Yuri, quote, H-how you today, quote. Monica, quote, me, quote. Yuri, quote, well, yes, quote. Monica, quote, oh gosh, sorry, I was just caught off dash guard, quote. Monica, quote, I'm doing well today, just tired. I never seem to get enough sleep during the week, quote. Yuri, quote, how come, quote. Monica, quote, oh, I don't know, I think I'm just easily distracted. I get really sucked into things and start neglecting the time, quote. Yuri, quote, me too, I do that too, quote. Monica, quote, quote. Monica, quote, hey, this classroom is empty, let's go in here, quote. After peering inside, Monica opens the classroom door, and the two of them enter. Yuri's moment of relaxation ends. She watches as Monica pulls two chairs up to the same desk, then obeys as Monica beckons her to take a seat. She stares down at the empty desk. Monica, quote, you nervous, quote. Yuri, quote, I don't want to do this, quote. Monica, quote, we don't have to, we can come up with something else, quote. Yuri shakes her head. Yuri, quote, it's my chance to do something good, quote. Yuri, quote, I need to take initiative, quote. Monica, quote, gosh, you must be really determined, quote. Monica, quote, I know how hard it is to step out of your comfort zone, quote. Monica, quote, I'll be sure to encourage you, quote. Yuri pushes through her anxiety and grabs a handful of lined paper from her notebook. Then she picks up her pen. Monica, quote, hey, you're left-handed, that's neat, quote. Yuri, quote, quote. Yuri, quote, yeah, quote. Monica, quote, now I don't have to worry about rubbing your arm, quote. Monica playfully rubs her shoulder against Yuri's. Monica, quote, sorry, I'm just being silly, I guess, quote. Monica, quote, anyway, how about we start by listing the different things you want to say to her, quote. Yuri, quote, quote. Yuri thinks. Yuri, quote, I feel embarrassed all of a sudden, quote. Monica, quote, or, it's okay, quote. Monica, quote, how about some of the things you said to me yesterday, quote. Yuri, quote, but quote. Yuri, quote, never mind, I guess I'll try, quote. Yuri thinks for a moment longer, her tension evident. Then she writes the word, quote, reflection, quote. Yuri, quote, this is about my reflection on our behavior, quote. Yuri, quote, the key question is why we act like this towards each other, but have been able to separately be friends with Sayori and Monica, quote. Monica, quote, that's me, quote. Yuri, quote, yes it is, quote. Yuri, quote, so, quote. Yuri thinks. Yuri, quote, I've been able to befriend the two of you because you've taken the time to understand my needs and respect my interests, quote. Monica, quote, quote. Monica, quote, the same goes for Natsuki, too, quote. Monica, quote, we started off as pretty hostile to each other because I was so worried about getting what I wanted, but she just wanted to be respected more than anything else, quote. Monica, quote, once I stopped making it all about me, she was able to do the same, quote. Yuri, quote, I want to do that, too, quote. Monica, quote, so what kinds of things do you want to do for her, quote. Yuri, quote, I want, quote. Yuri, quote, I want to do the same things for her that I like to receive, quote. Yuri, quote, I like it when people respond positively to the things I talk about and not just brush me off, quote. Yuri, quote, I like it when my feelings are taken seriously, quote. Yuri, quote, and I like when you and Sayori trust that I want to be a good person even when I'm not doing a good job at it, quote. Monica, quote, let's write those things down, quote. Yuri, quote, okay, quote. Yuri writes some things down. Monica, quote, I think the most important thing to remember here is that Natsuki is feeling vulnerable, so we should make sure that the letter puts her first, quote. Monica, quote, it's hard when you're feeling hurt, but it never helps to just tell someone all the things that they're doing wrong, quote. Monica, quote, I think first you have to make sure that they know you're ready to respect them and listen to them and admit the things that you feel you could do better, quote. Monica, quote, then finally, you ask what you would like in return, quote. Monica, quote, how does that sound for the structure? It could be 3 paragraphs, one for each of those points, quote. Yuri, quote, I like that, quote. Yuri, quote, my thoughts were so disorganized, I had no idea how to come up with any kind of structure, quote. Yuri, quote, you're so amazing at these things, quote. Monica, quote, oh, stop, quote. Monica, quote, you've done so much more than I have, you know, quote. Monica, quote, you spent so much time reflecting and being open-minded. That's the hardest thing for anyone to do, quote. Monica, quote, all I'm doing is helping you put it on a piece of paper, quote. Monica, quote, so I think you're the amazing one, quote. Yuri, quote, quote. Monica gives Yuri's hand a quick squeeze. But as she lets go, she's caught by surprise when Yuri tells her fingers to hook Monica's hand in place. For a while they sit like that in silence, save for the occasional scratching of Yuri's pen against the paper. Yuri, quote, yesterday you told me something that I'm thinking about a lot, quote. Monica, quote, what was that, quote. Yuri, quote, the thing about how feelings are right or wrong, and that they're just a state of being we need to come to terms with, quote. Yuri, quote, it made me think about how a person's behavior isn't always just how they decide to be, quote. Yuri, quote, it's also made up of their past experiences and their insecurities, quote. Yuri, quote, I think that helps me see other people as actual people rather than as insignificant side characters who are out to get me somehow, quote.
Insignificant side characters.
Monica, quote, is that how you felt about Natsuki, quote. Yuri nods. Yuri, quote, but in reality, everyone is always trying their best and everyone wants to be happy, quote. Monica peers over at Yuri's paper, but to her surprise, Yuri pulls it in closer, partially covering it with her arm. Monica, quote, I have to be able to read it to help out, you know, quote. Yuri, quote, it's okay, quote. Yuri, quote, my thoughts are a lot more organized now after being able to talk to you about it, quote. Yuri, quote, now that I'm actually putting it on paper, I realize I'd really prefer others not to read it, quote. Yuri laughs softly to herself, a rare expression. Monica, quote, I'm kind of glad to hear that, actually, quote. Monica, quote, I somehow keep finding ways to butt into this whole thing. I've done enough damage, out of quote. Monica, quote, but it's also been so wonderful talking about this. I mean, I always thought you were really smart, but, quote. Yuri smiles. Yuri, quote, I will always be terrible at these things, quote. Yuri, quote, people are just so incomprehensible to me. I'll never get the hang of being one, quote. Monica, quote, out of quote. Yuri, quote, but listening to you so much has really helped me make sense of some things, quote.
That's another quote I empathize with.
That is, yeah. So many quotes.
I kind of want that on my fucking Discord status.
Yeah.
Yuri, quote, people are just so incomprehensible to me. I'll never get the hang of being one, quote.
That is a Discord status. Holy shit.
Monica, quote, out of quote. Yuri, quote, but listening to you so much has really helped me make sense of some things, quote. Yuri, quote, so just don't call it damage, please, quote. Monica gives Yuri a gentle smile. Yuri, quote, I can't believe I came to this club looking for fantasy geeks. All I got was real friends who value me, quote. Monica, quote, is that a joke, quote. Yuri, quote, of course it is, quote. Monica, quote, I still can't tell with you, quote. Yuri, quote, sorry, quote. Monica, quote, no, I love it, please never change, quote. Yuri, quote, as you wish, quote. Yuri glances at the clock. Yuri, quote, we're almost out of time, quote. Monica, quote, will you be able to
That was
finish,
a very drama response, like.
Yeah, as you wish. Oh my god, we really are in sync. I thought about the same thing. I also thought about drama. Fucking hell.
Yuri, Monica, quote, will you be able to finish, quote.
I guess that's, you know, we've been talking about friendship in these stories. That's what happens when you've been friends for this long.
Yuri, Monica, quote, will you be able to finish, quote.
We share a brain cell, man.
Yeah.
We've got one to our name, and we just,
Yeah, we've got
what's
one
the word?
brain cell between
we
us.
timeshare that.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yuri, quote, before the end of the day, probably, quote. Yuri, quote, but I don't want to come to the club the same day that Natsuki makes it, quote. Yuri, quote, I'm too shy, quote. Monica, quote, I can give it to her instead, if you like, quote. Yuri nods. Yuri, quote, as long as you promise not to read it, quote. Monica, quote, of course, I promise, quote. Yuri, quote, thank you, quote. Yuri exhales, and the two stand up. Yuri, quote, I'll message you when it's ready, quote. Monica nods. Monica, quote, good luck. I hear it,
Monica
quote.
immediately set out to read that letter.
Oh yeah, she's gonna read it.
Yuri returns a nod, and the two depart.
She's gonna read the fuck out of that letter.
DDLC.
Okay. That was part 2, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Even though it kind of ended more like
It kind
part
of
one.
yeah, it was a weird one. It didn't really have a like conclusion.
No. Oh well.
I guess this one, yeah. So this one was Monica and Yuri, I guess, because
Yeah, and then Yuri
they
and
connected, and
Natsuki
Yuri
is
and
the
Natsuki is
next.
going to be the last one where they finally settle their differences.
Yeah.
But okay, we're going through these very quickly, much more quickly than
Which is
last
good.
time. Somehow,
We're not taking as many Toki breaks.
true.
Plus, didn't we start kind of late last time for some reason?
Did we?
I feel like we did. We started like 15,
Maybe.
20 minutes late or something.
We might have.
But yeah, as is mandatory between side stories, going to take a quick 2-minute break and I'll be right back.
OMG is the author obsessed with trotting or something. You know.
Apparently so.
Oh, and that's it. No more chat. For giving Natsuki that letter will be the entrance to the last one where they need to rebuild trust over that. Yeah. Did we miss some chat? DDLC Plus. Yeah. We talked about that. Whoa. My favorite track. Yeah, okay, we didn't miss anything. I didn't miss anything. Classic catchphrase. She's the rude one here. Debate. And trotting, yeah. Yeah, no, I got everything. I got everything. Thanks, Game Trier, for keeping the chat live. Or for keeping the chat alive today. You deserve a reward. We've had streams before where the chat was completely dead. So it wouldn't be the first time.
Side stories. 5 male pictures. Music. Track 5. Play with me by Dance Toggle playback for Play with Me.
Also, I appreciate that you chose to rep our server with the server tag. Yeah, this is what we call Shane typing here at Thunderstep Gaming.
I'm back.
Although Shane has gotten a lot better at that recently.
What have I got better at exactly?
Shane typing.
What's that? The typos?
Yeah, well, Robust calls it Shane typing.
I have been
yeah,
trying.
You've improved. You know, remembering how you were with that, you know, some years ago.
Oh yeah.
You're way better now.
Music. Pipped mail file. Side stories. Reflection part 2. The side reflection. Self-love part 1.
All right, last one, and then we have the
Equals.
little epilogue.
Self-love part 1.
I thought this was going to be a longer stream based on how the previous ones went, but I guess the previous ones were more... We had more to say about them. Especially the first and second one.
Reflect self-love part 1.
So, yeah, we'll chat message just before. Will Steam screw with my game partition if I just save it on there? What do you mean? Can you clarify? Because I'm not sure
Reflection part. Self-love part 1. Open side story. Self-love part 1. Side stories.
what exactly you mean by that.
It's only been 1 day since Yuri's letter was delivered to Natsuki with Monika's help. Because Yuri chose not to attend the club meeting that day, she and Natsuki haven't faced each other since. Although it's only lunchtime, Yuri finds herself anxiously counting the hours until she will need to face the outcome of her efforts, whether good or bad. And because the passing by of students was making her feel even more anxious, Yuri picked up the most secluded spot she could find to spend her lunch. Because this staircase is under maintenance, no student would have any reason for coming here. It's such a relaxing feeling to have a moment of solitude in the middle of a frantic school day --. Natsuki, quote, --, quote. Yuri, quote, deep --, quote. Natsuki, quote, what are you doing here, quote. Yuri, quote, --, quote. Yuri, quote, I just --, quote. Yuri grips her book with enough force to wrinkle the pages beneath the pressure of her thumbs. Yuri, quote, well, --, what are you doing here, quote. Natsuki, quote. Natsuki, quote, I just came to get a drink from the vending machine, quote. Natsuki, quote, the other one is out of the drink I like, quote. Yuri notices Natsuki fidgeting with a few coins between her fingers. She nods, avoiding eye contact. Natsuki, also looking away, shuffles over to the vending machine. It's so quiet that every one of her movements seems to reverberate through the entire stairwell. After far too long, she finally receives her beverage, which she then fidgets with in place of the coins. It's some kind of iced tea. But instead of leaving right away, Natsuki just stands in place. She glances all around her. Natsuki, quote, it's like, way too quiet back here, it's creepy, quote. Natsuki, quote, I mean --, quote. Natsuki, quote, that's not what I meant, really. I mean, it's totally cool that it's your thing, or whatever, like, I can see how it suits you, so, quote. Natsuki, quote, not --, because I think you're creepy or something. I didn't mean that either, quote. Natsuki, quote, you know, I'm just gonna stop talking. That seems like a good idea, quote. Yuri, quote, it's okay, quote. Yuri, quote, everything is okay, quote. Yuri finds herself attempting some words of comfort after hearing Natsuki stammer herself into dejection. Seemingly in response, Natsuki approaches the base of the staircase and hesitantly sits herself down near Yuri. Natsuki, quote, well, I can leave if you want, quote. Yuri shakes her head. Natsuki twists the cap off her drink and takes a sip. Despite receiving Yuri's general permission, Natsuki doesn't say anything more. Yuri continues to read, or at least pretends to. And the two just sit there for a long time. The tension seems to fade a little bit as time passes. Even without any words, this seems to mean at least something --, though it's not clear what that may be. Lunch ends more quickly than expected. Natsuki is the first to stand up with her Natsuki, quote, are you coming today, quote. Natsuki is the first to stand up with her empty drink bottle. Natsuki, quote, to the club, quote. Yuri nods. Natsuki, quote, I'm sorry for being so awkward, quote. Natsuki, quote, I'm really bad at talking about this stuff, quote. Natsuki, quote, I just can't for some reason. I don't know why, quote. Natsuki, quote, but I want to, eventually, quote. Yuri, quote, there's no rush, quote. Yuri, quote, I promise, quote. Natsuki, quote, thanks, quote. It's the next day. Natsuki appears from around the corner and steps up to the vending machine, glancing at Yuri as she does so. Today, she seems to be holding some kind of book as well. Natsuki, quote, oh, you're here again, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, I just came here to read this because there aren't any people around here, quote. Yuri, quote, oh, I thought you didn't like how quiet it was, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, I don't, but there's no people here, quote. Yuri, quote, I see, quote. Natsuki sits down. The mood feels much different today than it did yesterday. After yesterday's lunch and the club meeting that followed, Natsuki and Yuri are beginning to feel more relaxed around each other again. Although Yuri's letter is still lingering in the back of Natsuki's mind, she continues to detour around it.
We're never actually going to read that letter, are we?
It doesn't look like we are, which is sad.
Yuri, quote, but it's okay that I'm here, quote. Natsuki, quote, yeah, I don't care, quote. Natsuki, quote, I mostly just don't feel like dealing with the crap I get from my friends about it, quote.
Oh yeah, this is that story where Natsuki goes on about her friends. Yes. I remember.
Natsuki, quote, especially since, like, they all just assumed I stopped reading manga after I joined the literature club, quote. Natsuki, quote, not that I'm trying to hide it from them, exactly, quote. Natsuki, quote, but I just don't want it to come up again now after I've waited so long for this new volume to come out, literally months at this point, quote. Yuri, quote, you don't have other friends who are into manga, quote. Natsuki, quote, not unless online friends count, quote. Natsuki, quote, and Sayori, but that's different cause she's not exactly into it, she just likes it, you know what I mean, quote. Yuri, quote, MHM, quote. Natsuki, quote, honestly, you're lucky that the books you're into at least just look like books, so you don't have to feel like everyone is constantly judging you by what you're reading, quote. Yuri, quote, that would be so awful, quote. Yuri, quote, especially since I already hate attention so much, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, it's a good thing I have thick skin, I guess, quote. Natsuki, quote, by the way, I would totally recommend finding some friends online if you haven't already, if you're like me and have no one to share your hobbies with, quote. Yuri, quote, oh, I have online friends, quote. Yuri, quote, since middle school, actually, I was especially desperate back then, quote. Yuri, quote, it's somewhat embarrassing to reminisce about those days, quote. Yuri, quote, sometimes I feel like the me from a few years ago would have benefited from a good smack across the face, quote. Natsuki, quote, oh, whatever, we were all just stupid kids back then anyway, quote. Natsuki, quote, some of the fanfics I wrote, thank God I used a pseudonym, quote.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course Natsuki's the kind of person who would be writing fanfics.
Wait. Fan theory.
No.
Natsuki wrote My Immortal.
No.
That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it unless
No.
you can disprove it somehow. That was her doing.
She's not really a goth. That would be more Yuri style.
Yeah, but like, she's not a goth now. Maybe she was, you know? It has about as much basis as most.
She went from goth to like super cutesy preppy shit.
You see, yeah, she wrote that, and then she looked at what she had done. And was
She's what have I done? Oh my god!
what have
All
I
right,
become?
time to become a prep.
Reverse course, boys. 100, 180, please. We're doing the exact opposite of that, and we're never talking about this again.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice, I've got you on board.
Sure.
Now I need to write
No.
one of those really, really long Game of Thrones style, like
Oh
Reddit
yes,
post.
you need to go to AI and just write like a Reddit post about this theory, pulling out all the random ass references that support it. That you know,
Yeah.
like the
That support it in
Tyrion
quotation marks.
time traveling fetus theory. Pull out references
Yeah,
that they look like they support the theory, but as soon as you scrutinize them a little bit, it's like, oh, it's just bullshit. But as you're reading the essay, just like the My Immortal Alchemy essay, as you're reading it, it's like, huh, this this kind of makes sense. Yeah.
Natsuki, quote, but I liked it at the time. I got a lot of fulfillment out of it, quote. Natsuki, quote, and plus, I can look back and say with confidence that I've become a better person since then, quote. Natsuki, quote, so I don't think I would change anything, quote.
See? Become a better person. She's changed. She's become a different person.
Uh-huh.
Yuri, quote, I wonder if a few years from now, we'll think the same thing about our current selves, quote. Natsuki, quote, probably, quote. Yuri, quote, that doesn't make you uncomfortable, quote. Natsuki, quote, no, of course not. I don't care what other people think of me, especially someone who doesn't even exist yet, quote. Yuri, quote, quote. Natsuki, quote, right, here, dash, quote. Natsuki raises her hand to her face and forcefully slaps her own cheek. Natsuki, quote, that's me from the future coming to terms with me right now, quote. Natsuki, quote, also, ow, I didn't mean to do that hard, quote. Yuri doesn't seem to react. But then, to Natsuki's surprise, Yuri shyly looks the other way before lifting her arm and doing the same thing to herself, loudly smacking her cheek. She turns red and stares into her lap, but is unable to hide a smile, as though it was a really funny joke. Natsuki, quote, oh, that's what I'm talking about. I didn't know you had it in you, quote. Yuri, quote, I don't even know why I did the quote. Yuri, quote, maybe I thought it would be funny, quote. Yuri, quote, dash, sorry, I keep distracting you, quote. Yuri, quote, you said you were looking forward to reading, but I keep going on about all this nonsense, quote. Yuri, quote, I'll let you get to your reading, quote. Natsuki, quote, oh, right, quote. Natsuki, quote, yeah, I guess I'll do that, then, quote. The conversation ends quickly, and Natsuki opens her book. The two read silently for the remainder of the lunch hour.
going so well.
Hmm?
We were going so well.
Yeah.
And then
It
she's
is
like,
progress.
Oh, right, yeah,
We've
you
made
are
progress.
distracting me. We have.
But the whole time, Yuri feels distracted by a twist of regret over having so abruptly forced the end of their conversation. Yuri, quote, you're back, quote. Natsuki, quote, yeah, I'm here to lay low again, quote. Another day has passed. During lunchtime, Natsuki finds herself slipping onto the stairwell once more. Natsuki, quote, hey, did you buy that, quote. Natsuki quickly notices a bottle of iced tea on the staircase where she normally sits. Yuri nods, avoiding eye contact. Natsuki, quote, what, like for me, quote. Natsuki, quote, but you didn't know I was coming here today. What if I didn't show up, quote. Yuri, quote, well, dash, dash, quote. Yuri, quote, I just, dash, dash, I mean, I would have drank it myself, I guess, quote. Yuri, quote, it was a stupid thing to do, quote. Natsuki, quote, no, it, dash, dash, it wasn't stupid, quote. Natsuki, quote, I just thought, dash, dash, quote. Natsuki, quote, never mind, quote. Natsuki, quote, what I meant to say is thank you, quote. Natsuki, quote, and that it's a really nice gesture, quote. Yuri, quote, it's okay if you don't feel that way, quote. Natsuki, quote, I do, quote. Natsuki, quote, it was the other things that I didn't mean, quote. Natsuki, quote, I swear, please believe me, quote. Yuri, quote, quote. Yuri pauses, then nods. Yuri, quote, talking is hard. I get it wrong a lot too, quote. Yuri, quote, so I believe you, quote. Natsuki exhales in relief. She then sits down next to Yuri and takes a drink. Knowing Yuri, she was probably overthinking it so much that Natsuki's tepid response filled her with self-doubt. Natsuki, quote, I'll do something nice for you next time, quote. Yuri, quote, please, don't feel obligated, dash, dash, quote. Natsuki, quote, I want to, quote. Natsuki, quote, I want to do nice things too, quote. Yuri, quote, okay, quote. Yuri, quote, thank you, quote. Natsuki, quote, you can thank me after I figure out how to do something nice, quote. Yuri, quote, I'll do it then, too, quote. Natsuki sighs. Yuri, quote, HM, quote. Natsuki, quote, nothing, quote. Natsuki, quote, it just reminds me how I haven't been getting along with my friends lately, quote. Yuri, quote, is that why you've been coming here, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, no, not exactly, quote. Natsuki, quote, I haven't been avoiding them on purpose or anything, quote. Natsuki, quote, there are just other things I'd rather be doing during lunch later, quote. Natsuki, quote, I like being around them when we're all just having fun, but they also just can't take anything seriously, quote. Natsuki, quote, so when I'm, I don't know, feeling serious, then their attitudes just really get on my nerves, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's only gotten worse ever since I joined the literature club, quote. Yuri, quote, how come, quote. Natsuki, quote, I don't know, quote. Natsuki, quote, I feel like I used to be really good with just putting up with it, because it would be so stupid to cause drama over a joke I didn't like or something, quote. Natsuki, quote, but I just have a hard time doing that lately, quote. Natsuki, quote, but it's my fault for being overly sensitive. If I have a problem, I'm not going to demand for everyone around me to change, quote. Yuri, quote, but, quote. Natsuki, quote, yeah, I know, quote. Natsuki, quote, Monica and Sayori really don't agree with that kind of thing, quote. Natsuki, quote, but they're not in my position, so it's easy for them to say that you should just communicate your feelings, or whatever, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's not like my friend group does that kind of thing. I would just be making an embarrassment of myself, quote. Natsuki, quote, sorry, none of this has anything to do with you. I don't, Yuri, quote, it's okay, quote. Natsuki, quote, sorry, none of this has anything to do with you. I don't know why I'm talking about it, quote. Yuri, quote, I like listening, quote. Natsuki, quote, what? Listening to other people's problems, quote. Yuri, quote, yes, quote. Natsuki, quote, that's weird, quote. Yuri, quote, quote. Natsuki, quote, sorry, quote. Yuri, quote, I just like learning about people, quote. Yuri, quote, do you think it's weird, quote. Natsuki, quote, in dash no, that's not
Yuri
weird. I probably just misunderstood, so, quote.
New therapist.
Yeah, well, kinda. She's just the listener. She doesn't really give you like a solution. She just listens, which is also valuable.
Natsuki, quote, I don't know, does that mean I should keep going, quote. Yuri, quote, if you like, quote. Natsuki, quote, okay, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, I don't know what to talk about now, quote. Yuri, quote, what are some things that you like about your friends, quote. Natsuki, quote, a lot of things, quote. Natsuki, quote, I mean, they're really fun to hang out with, like after school and on the weekends, quote.
But yeah, these side stories are really just therapy sessions. That's all they are.
They are, yeah.
Natsuki, quote, and they really like my baking, quote. Natsuki, quote, and it's fun to complain about school together, quote. Natsuki, quote, they make me laugh a lot, and we have a lot of good memories and inside jokes, quote. Yuri, quote, oh, quote. Yuri, quote, I'm bad at a lot of those things, quote. Natsuki, quote, so, quote. Yuri, quote, are those all things that are important to you, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, kind of, but they're not things I need to get out of everybody, quote. Natsuki, quote, everyone in the club is really different from that, but I'm still friends with them too, quote. Yuri, quote, well, Sayori really likes your baking, quote. Yuri, quote, and she makes you laugh, quote. Yuri, quote, and she complains a lot, quote. Natsuki, quote, that doesn't mean she's anything like my other friends, quote. Yuri, quote, well, unlike them, she's a nice person who cares about your feelings, quote. Natsuki, quote, excuse me, quote.
Ooh.
Natsuki, quote, how about you don't talk this way about my friends that you don't know anything about, quote.
Again, Yuri dropping those absolute bombs.
Yeah, Yuri does not fuck around. When she's something to say, she says it.
Yep.
Which I respect.
Natsuki, quote, how about you don't talk this way about my friends that you don't know anything about, quote. Natsuki stands up. Yuri, quote, no, wait, dash, dash, quote. Yuri, quote, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it, quote. Yuri, quote, I didn't want to say something bad, quote. Yuri, quote, please don't leave, quote. Natsuki, quote, quote. Natsuki sighs and shakes her head. Natsuki, quote, it's fine, quote. Natsuki, quote, as long as you understand that you can't just judge people like that, quote. Yuri, quote, I'm sorry, quote. Natsuki sits back down. Natsuki, quote, you can't just compare friends like that and like, measure who's better than who, everyone's different, quote. Yuri, quote, I'm sorry, quote. Yuri, quote, I just, quote. Yuri, quote, quote. Yuri, quote, I just don't like people who want to hurt you, quote. Natsuki, quote, quote, a moment of silence stretches between them. Natsuki, quote, they don't want to hurt me, quote. Natsuki, quote, we just like to tease each other about stupid things. It's fun, quote. Yuri, quote, I don't like that, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, that's why I'm friends with them and you're not, quote. Yuri, quote, you like it, quote. Natsuki, quote, quote. Natsuki, quote, just don't worry so much about me, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's not worth it, quote. Yuri, quote, I'm sorry, quote. Yuri, quote, I wish I knew how to help with social conflicts, quote. Yuri, quote, like how Monica can, quote. Yuri, quote, she's good at these things, quote. Natsuki, quote, not really, quote. Natsuki, quote, also, I don't always want help. Sometimes it's just stuff I have to deal with myself, quote. Natsuki, quote, that's what Monica and Sayori never seem to understand, quote. Natsuki, quote, sometimes all you do is look at them wrong and they're all like, oh, what's wrong? Is everything okay, quote. Natsuki, quote, I just want to mind my own business sometimes and decide myself if I want to talk about things, quote. Natsuki, quote, the only one who understands that is you, quote. Natsuki, quote, so you really shouldn't be so hard on yourself. You're not as bad as you think, quote. Yuri, quote, oh, you don't need to reassure me or anything, quote. Natsuki, quote, I mean that, quote. Natsuki, quote, plus, it makes sense that someone who doesn't talk a lot would make a good listener, quote. Yuri, quote, thank you, quote. Yuri, quote, you're also nice, quote. Natsuki, quote, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's really hard for me, quote. Natsuki, quote, it doesn't come naturally at all, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's so weird because I always thought of myself as someone who can just say whatever's on my mind, quote. Natsuki, quote, but I feel like that only works when I'm annoyed or upset or I want to say something mean, quote. Natsuki, quote, why am I like that, quote. Natsuki, quote, you don't have to answer that, I'm just talking to myself, quote. Yuri nods and remains silent. Natsuki notices her fidgeting with the pages of her book. Natsuki, quote, how come you like reading so much, quote. Yuri, quote, oh, quote. Yuri, quote, well, a lot of reasons, quote. Yuri, quote, but I just get sucked into it so easily, quote. Yuri, quote, it's so immersive, like I want to be a part of it, quote. Yuri, quote, I think there are a lot of things about people in real life that make me feel uncomfortable and frustrated, quote. Yuri, quote, especially when it comes to following social conventions and group interactions, quote. Yuri, quote, I just don't really understand it, and I have no real desire to participate, quote. Yuri, quote, but it's different with books. It feels like I always want to be around the characters, quote. Yuri, quote, I feel such a strong emotional connection with them in ways that I've never felt with real people, quote. Yuri, quote, so, in that way, you can sometimes feel more real than real life, quote. Natsuki, quote, really, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's that hard for you to be around people, like, all the time, quote. Yuri, quote, fairly often, especially in group settings, quote. Yuri, quote, when people are making all kinds of conversation and saying jokes, all of that, I don't know what to do, and I just disengage, quote. Natsuki, quote, oh, quote. Natsuki, quote, that doesn't get lonely, quote. Yuri, quote, I don't think so, quote. Yuri, quote, I can still enjoy spending time with people one-on-one, and I have online friends too, of course, quote.
Me.
Natsuki, quote,
Thank
God,
you.
Yuri dropping some fucking truth.
Yuri, quote, I can still enjoy spending time with people one-on-one, and I have online friends. Natsuki, quote, do you ever wish that you could be friends with the characters in your books, quote.
Yeah, all the time.
Uh-huh.
Yuri, quote, all the time, quote.
Yeah. I think, yeah, Yuri is your spirit animal.
Yeah. Yours too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yuri, quote, sometimes so
It's so
badly it makes
weird
my...
how, like, sorry, we're both so similar to Yuri, and yet you don't, like, you're not, what's the word?
I'm not
English,
attracted
Jesus.
to her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas I would love someone like that. I feel like if I was dating someone, I would just get fucking overwhelmed really quickly. It would just be too much.
I don't know. It depends also on what interpretation of Sayori we're talking about.
True, yeah.
Like, you have not played Blue Skies, for example.
No, I
The
have
the
actually,
Blue Skies
a little bit.
Sayori route, I mean.
Yeah, no, I haven't touched that.
Yeah, like, that Sayori, I would date her, like, it would be so great. Oh my god, I just
What?
I just took off my keycap for the shift key accidentally.
Oh,
Oops.
that's not great.
Okay, it's back on. It's cool. These keycaps are removable. That's, mechanical keyboards. That's what they do. But yeah, that's the thing, right? We both relate to this side of Yuri, but we're also different in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like, I relate to all of these characters in some way. But mostly Yuri.
Yuri, quote, sometimes so badly that it makes my heart ache, quote. Natsuki, quote, yeah, quote. Natsuki, quote, me too, quote. Yuri, quote, really, quote. Natsuki, quote, MHM, quote. Natsuki, quote, a lot, quote. Natsuki, quote, like, more than anything, quote. After Natsuki mutters that, silence fills the stairwell once more.
But yeah, on the attraction thing, I did start with Yuri. I told you this. I think I said it on stream too. On my first playthrough, I did actually the same thing that Euro Brady did, the therapist plays guy. He also started with Yuri and then he regretted it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I still haven't watched that.
Yeah, I also started with Yuri. I don't remember. I think I went full on with Yuri. Again, the same as he did. But then as I was playing through further and further, I was like, man, I don't really. I wish I had gone with Sayori instead.
But it's a mutual silence.
And then especially after Blue Skies, like that completely solidified my preferences. Because the Yuri in Blue Skies, to me personally, was kind of annoying. I didn't like her. Different, but like this Yuri is to me way more likable than
Yeah, I like this Yuri.
the one
a
in
lot.
Blue Skies.
I played Blue Skies like last year, and I only played a little bit of it, so I don't really remember that well.
Yeah, are we gonna stream that, by the way? We were saying
We
something
should
about
at some
that.
point. We mentioned, doing it, but we never really did.
Well, we can.
Yeah, we'll pop it in. I assume RimWorld will probably come first.
Yeah, is that gonna be next week? Well, let's finish the stories, I guess, and then we'll talk about future plans.
Yeah, but briefly answer that question. The answer is a question mark right now. caravans have been catching me for a while.
Oh, interesting.
That's been a real cunt to get done. Plus, honestly, I haven't looked at it since like Wednesday evening because college has fucking slapped me in the face like a bitch.
Ah, okay.
And I have been absolutely swamped the last like 4 days doing a big Java project that a lecturer scheduled like shit and made us write in a week because you're a fucking prick.
You have AI
Honestly, I do, but not that well for this. Really, I don't really want to use Claude code on something I have to submit just to be safe. Like it's on Git, so I just don't want.
Yeah, but you can review. You can always have it write something and then you review it yourself.
Yeah, I'm just a little paranoid about doing that for like a submission, just in case somehow I miss something and they figure it out and I get serious shit. I know it's like 1 in a billion chance it happens, but that 1 in a billion would be really, really bad. Like, I would definitely get marked 0. My group might also get marked 0 by extension. And there would probably be like disciplinary action and I get a mark on my permanent like academic record.
Yeah.
So it's just not worth it.
You just need to be careful with comments with AI. AI likes to leave a shitload of comments.
I have used AI. I've asked like ChatGPT, hey, what's the method for this? How do I do this thing? Give me a piece of code.
I feel like that's fair. I don't think
I feel
that's
like even most
a
people in
problem.
my college wouldn't have an issue with me asking what's the function I need to call to do this thing. It's
because previously you would have just Googled and found a Stack Overflow answer or just documentation if it's just a basic thing like how do you sort an array in Java? Like that's a basic thing that you can just Google and Google find some docs, or now that we have AI, it's just easier to ask AI.
Yeah, but like using just pure Claude code, if it ever got found out, would be a serious issue.
Yeah,
like my college do not fuck around with things like that. People have been like kicked out of the course.
Ooh.
Yeah, they.
How did they? I mean, they were probably really dumb and like left.
Yeah. These people were, as far as I understand, fucking idiots and like left very obvious AI markers, like a comment saying, "Insert your X here."
Oh.
Yep.
God damn it, people.
They filled it out, but they just forgot to remove the comment beside it saying, "You need to put your API key here."
Remove the comment, bro. Oh my god.
Yeah, like, did I tell you about... I know we're going way off topic, and I'll shut up after this one, but did I tell you about the
It had to happen at some point. The tangent had to happen. It always happens.
It did. But we had a lecture, right? And last year, her notes, her PDF notes.
You did tell me that.
As you read through them, I'm not for the stream.
Copy from ChatGPT, right?
Yeah, not even copied with the copy button.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, you told me this.
Copied because under every code block there was a button that just said "copy code." But it wasn't even a button in the PDF.
No, it just was the text. Copy code. Yes.
And I think ChatGPT used to do that before they changed how it's displayed.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't used ChatGPT in a long time. I don't know how it's displayed now, but
it used to do that.
Yes.
It's like very similar to how Claude does it. That used to be their way. They've changed it slightly now, but anyway.
Yeah, I don't use any of them. I just use Chat Launch.
I couldn't stop pissing myself. It was so funny. The balls on this lecturer. Anyway, that's enough of coding of Shane in college tangents. We could fill a stream with my college bullshit. We should talk about genealogy guy at some point as well.
Yeah. What was that quote that he said? I would like to get her DNA.
Maybe someday, if the price goes down, I'll get her DNA as well. I do know the context for that now, and it's actually not as creepy as it sounds.
Oh.
It's better without the context, so I'm just not going to tell you.
Oh. Rip.
He was talking about like a method for extracting saliva from old stamps.
Okay.
And like getting DNA from like his grandmother or something for his genealogy project.
Oh. Okay. So what's the price?
I don't know. It must be fairly expensive at the minute from like some lab or something.
Oh, the extraction of DNA.
Yeah, to actually take an old stamp and gets like the DNA from the saliva from it. You know, you have to like lick stamps to seal them.
Yeah.
I assume that's what he means.
Okay.
I asked my friend and I said, I was like, what the fuck was this quote in reference to? And he told me, and I was like, oh, that's kind of sad. I wish I didn't ask you now.
Yeah. It was better without context.
But it's a mutual silence.
Anyway.
One full of understanding.
Oh, god damn it.
DDLC. Side stories.
We were fucking 2 inches away. We stopped right before the finish line, man.
We still got part 2, but
Yeah,
that was
sure.
funny though. If I download this game and save it to G, my game SSD, will it wipe it or no? It's just gonna. I'm pretty sure it's just gonna put a Steam apps folder on your G drive with that game, or maybe it's just gonna put that game in there. Yeah, it's just gonna put the game in there. I'm pretty sure. It's not gonna fuck anything up. Yeah, NF1 and NF2. Oh my god. The idiot has appeared. Still no flimsy though. Fucking asshole. What theory thereupon I don't get? I don't get this message. You sort of broke my whole messages in a row streak. Yeah. How many messages was that? It was a lot. What's Blue Skies? Well, Blue Sky is a social network, but DDLC Blue Skies is a mod for DDLC, and it is, in my opinion, always gotta preface that, the best mod for DDLC. It is my favorite, certainly. Especially Sayori Zurich. But I will fully admit that I'm biased. But, like, it's very well written. It's really good. So, yeah, I definitely recommend it. You saw that playthrough? We didn't play Blue Skies on... If you mean our channel, we didn't play Blue Skies on the channel yet. We were talking about some theory and I asked what that was. Well, that's what happens when you read chat 15 minutes delayed. I don't know what we were talking about 15 minutes ago, man. But yeah, I've been noticing a lot more since the last Windows 11 update that this computer is getting on a bit. I really need a new one. Where the fuck is that flimsy fucker? Probably in the flimsy timeline. As usual. Anyway, shall we do the final side story?
Yeah, let's do this.
Files. Sites. Self-love part 1. Self-love part 2. Open side story. Self-love part 2. Side stories. Natsuki, quote, hey, quote. Yuri, quote, oh, hello, quote. Yuri, quote, I almost thought you weren't coming today, quote. Natsuki, quote, yeah, well, quote. Lunch is already more than halfway over. Natsuki had typically been meeting Yuri in the stairwell much earlier, since it had been a good way of dodging her friends when she didn't feel like seeing them. Today, she's holding a large plastic container in both hands. Natsuki, quote, I ran into my friends, so I hung out with them for a while, quote. Yuri, quote, is that so, quote. Natsuki, quote, yeah, quote. Natsuki, quote, I was in a good mood today, so I figured I should. I hadn't seen them in a while, which I had to come up with an excuse for, but I expected the quote. Natsuki, quote, plus, I have way more of these than I know what to do with, so I figured I would share with them too, quote. As she sits down, Natsuki opens the lid of her container. Yuri, quote, you make cupcakes, quote. Natsuki, quote, you know, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's been a while at this point, so I figured it was about time again, quote. Natsuki, quote, you can take one if you want, quote. Yuri takes a cupcake and carefully twirls it between her fingers. It's brown, with dark green frosting immaculately shaped into a floral pattern and topped with some kind of glittery powder. Yuri, quote, how pretty, quote. Yuri, quote, I just ate, so I may not be able to finish it, quote. Yuri, quote, are they for the club, quote. Natsuki, quote, yeah, I guess so, quote. Natsuki, quote, I didn't really think about it, I just made them, quote. Yuri, quote, I just thought that because green is Monika's favorite color, right, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, dash, yeah, but it's not really, quote. Yuri takes a small bite. Yuri, quote, this is green tea flavored, quote. Natsuki, quote. Yuri, quote, I love green tea, quote. Natsuki, quote, dash, do you, quote. Natsuki, quote, it was just a random idea I wanted to try, so, quote. Yuri, quote, quote. Natsuki, quote, don't laugh at me, quote. Yuri, quote, I'm not, quote. Yuri, quote, I just felt happy, quote. Natsuki, quote, oh, sorry, quote. Natsuki, quote, usually when dash, quote. Natsuki, quote, never mind. What I mean is that I'm glad, quote. Natsuki, quote, sorry for saying dumb things again, quote. Natsuki, quote, I just wanted to do something nice, quote. Natsuki, quote, and this is something I happen to be good at, quote. Natsuki, quote, and I do know that you like them, from past experience, quote. Yuri, quote, dash, quote. Yuri turns red, recalling the time she treated herself on the general slate to Natsuki's cupcakes. Ironically, her mouth is too full of cupcake for her to stammer an excuse, so she just settles for a disapproving look. Yuri, quote, how did you get into baking, quote. Natsuki, quote, oh, well, I don't know, it kind of just always appealed to me, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, a few years ago, I read this one manga with a lot of baking, so I got like super into it for a while. I was probably making stuff almost every day, quote. Natsuki, quote, but it's something that I always knew I liked anyway. It's like, baking is like art, but when you get good at it, it gets more delicious too, quote. Yuri, quote, I'm struggling to imagine myself putting my heart into something so artistic, knowing that it would just be eaten afterwards, quote. Natsuki, quote, yeah, maybe you're too practical for it, quote. Yuri, quote, I think I prefer to be on the receiving end, quote. Natsuki, quote, that's my other favorite part.
Hell yeah. I also prefer to be on the receiving end of the baking.
Yes, definitely. I can bake fairly decently, but I do prefer to just eat. We still need to do that cooking stream.
Oh my god. That would be a disaster.
Yeah, get you to record and I'll try and make something edible, and then you two review at the end.
Okay. We need to meet up first.
Yeah, that does presuppose we're in the same place.
Yeah.
Natsuki, quote, it's something I can do that makes a lot of people happy, like unconditionally, quote. Natsuki, quote, everyone is always so thankful, and in the moment you get to be like the thing
True.
quote.
Food does make me unconditionally happy.
Yeah, food is one of those things that's just, people just like eating. People just like food. That's,
Natsuki, quote, I don't know, it just makes me feel, quote.
It just depends on the kind of food, but like generally, shit like cupcakes and generally baking stuff, like who's gonna not like that?
But yeah, you'd have to work really hard to find someone who would see cupcakes and be like, nah.
Cupcakes, ugh.
Must I?
Natsuki, quote, yeah, I guess the quote. Yuri, quote, so you were able to make up with your friends today, quote. Natsuki, quote, HM, there wasn't really anything to make up with them about. We weren't fighting or anything, quote. Yuri, quote, you weren't, quote. Yuri, quote, maybe I misunderstood, quote. Natsuki, quote, it only turns into a fight if I lose my cool, and that's just unnecessary drama. It only makes things worse, quote. Yuri, quote, so they're not going to stop, quote. Natsuki, quote, I mean, it only happens sometimes anyway, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's just the way they are. I'm the only one who ever has a problem with it, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's not worth it, quote. Natsuki, quote, especially since I have somewhere to go now and I don't feel like hanging out with them, quote. Yuri, quote, oh, quote. Yuri, quote, I see, quote. The cupcakes empty foil wrap all the big crinkles. Yuri clenches a fist. Yuri, quote, I'm glad that the situation is resolved, quote. Yuri, quote, and that you don't have to avoid them anymore, quote. Natsuki, quote, yeah, quote. Natsuki, quote, me too, quote. Natsuki, quote, and I don't have to bother you during your alone time anymore, quote. Natsuki, quote, I'm sure you have a lot of reading to catch up on, quote. Yuri, quote, yeah, quote. Natsuki, quote, I know that cupcakes are basically nothing compared to all the stuff you've done for me, quote. Natsuki, quote, but it's the best I can do, quote. Natsuki, quote, so you can have the rest of them, quote.
Wait, what has she done? Listen to her?
Exactly. Yeah, like talk.
I don't know.
It's supposed to be Yuri. That is a big step.
Natsuki grabs the box and slides it over to Yuri's feet. Yuri stares at the box. Then she shakes her head and slides them back. Yuri, quote, you should save them for your other friends, quote. Natsuki, quote, but dash, quote. Natsuki, quote, I made them for you, quote. Natsuki's voice whines as she protests. Yuri, quote, I know, quote. Yuri, quote, and I like them very much, exactly as you thought, quote. Yuri, quote, you succeeded, quote. Yuri, quote, but I know you care about making your other friends happy, too, quote. Yuri, quote, and if this is a way you know how to make that happen, then I'm not going to take it from you, quote. Natsuki, quote, no, they were making you happy, quote. Yuri, quote, you make me happy, quote. Yuri, quote, you're worth more than cupcakes to some people, quote. Yuri, quote, that's why they want to spend time with you, quote. Yuri, quote, to be your friend, quote. Without warning, tears fall from Natsuki's eyes. She pulls her knees to her chest and starts sobbing into her arms. Yuri, quote, Natsuki dash, quote. Natsuki, quote, I'm such a bad person, dash, quote. Yuri, quote, you dash, quote. Yuri stammers, feeling panicked. Yuri, quote, I didn't mean to say something bad, quote. Natsuki shakes her head and wipes her eyes. Natsuki, quote, you didn't, quote. Natsuki, quote, I just dash, quote. Natsuki tries to choke back her sobs, but struggles. Natsuki, quote, I just really hate myself sometimes, quote. Natsuki tries to choke back her sobs, but struggles to speak through them. Natsuki, quote, and it feels so wrong when you say those nice things to me, quote. Natsuki, quote, like I don't deserve it, quote. Yuri, quote, I'm sorry, quote.
Wait, have you suddenly turned into Sayori, Natsuki?
Yeah, that is a very Sayori response.
Natsuki, quote, no, I am, quote. Natsuki, quote, I'm so difficult, quote. Natsuki, quote, and I can't dash think of even a single thing about myself that somebody would like, quote.
The cupcakes right there?
I was about to say, objection, Your Honor. Cupcakes. Case closed.
Yuri, quote. Natsuki, quote, and I hated myself for bothering you during lunch, quote. Natsuki, quote, I just thought it was dash dash my chance to be a good person, like to be nice and do the things you wrote about in the letter, quote. Natsuki, quote, I knew if I tried in the club, say Ori and Monica would be super annoying and make a huge deal out of it, quote. Yuri, quote, you know, quote. Yuri, quote, I think a lot of those negative things too, about myself, quote. Yuri, quote, I never felt like a good person. I always scrutinize everything I say, and later I feel like I said all the wrong things, quote. Yuri, quote, and I just spend so much time thinking about myself, hating myself, and feeling like everyone else must hate me, too, quote. Yuri, quote, so, I understand some of that through my own experience, quote. Yuri, quote, and that's why I wanted to write the letter and express my feelings, quote. Yuri, quote, it pained me to see those things in someone else that I saw in myself, quote. Natsuki, quote, quote. Natsuki sniffles. Yuri rustles through her bag and pulls out some
Can we
tissues, then
read
hands them
this
to Natsuki.
letter?
No, apparently not.
Curse you, game developer.
Yuri, quote, Monica told me that it takes a good person to reflect on these things, quote. Yuri, quote, the desire to improve yourself, that makes you a good person, so don't worry so much, quote. Yuri, quote, also, there are things about you that people would like, so, quote.
Also,
Natsuki,
I love
quote,
how she's
what,
like,
quote.
people would like. Not me, but people.
People
I'm
in
sure.
general.
Yeah, some other people.
Yuri, quote, quote. Yuri, quote, like, quote. Yuri, quote, like how you're fun for people to be around, quote. Yuri, quote, and you're not shy, and you know how to make people laugh, quote. Yuri, quote, and you're very passionate about things, and you know how to take the lead, quote. Yuri, quote, and you care a lot about other people, quote. Yuri, quote, and just a lot of things, quote. Natsuki, quote, oh, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, now you're making me feel really embarrassed, quote. Yuri, quote, well, dash, dash, you're the one who asked, quote. Yuri, quote, and don't you think I feel embarrassed, quote. Natsuki tries to hide a smile, then, Natsuki, quote, every time I come here, I always think it's the last time, but then I keep coming back for some reason, quote. Natsuki tries to hide a smile, then, she sighs as it fades again. Natsuki, quote, every time I come here, Yuri, quote, is that bad, quote. Natsuki, quote, quote. Natsuki, quote, just really confusing, quote. Natsuki, quote, I mean, my friends and I go way back, so ditching them all the time feels like, I don't know, quote. Yuri, quote, feels like what, quote. Natsuki's voice gets quiet. Natsuki, quote, maybe I'm scared that they'll get mad at me, quote. Yuri, quote, quote. Natsuki, quote, I really don't know what to do, quote. She pauses. Yuri, quote, what would you do? She pauses. Yuri stares into the distance, tracing her eyes along the patterns of the floor tiles while she thinks to herself. Yuri, quote, what would you do, hypothetically, if your friends were happy for you instead of mad at you, quote. Natsuki, quote, happy for what, quote. Yuri, quote, happy that your new club is making you happy, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, dash, dash, quote. Natsuki, quote, that's just not a fair hypothetical, quote. Natsuki says that, but with little confidence in her voice. Natsuki, quote, I always told myself that I don't rely on the approval of others to be happy, quote. Natsuki, quote, and I still feel that way, but, quote. Natsuki, quote, I'm spending time with people who put me down whenever I don't have their approval, quote. Natsuki, quote, that's probably what's making me feel so confused, quote. Natsuki, quote, because I'm threatened out of the things that should make me happy, quote. Natsuki, quote, so no matter what, it's like I have to be unhappy to be happy, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's making my head hurt, quote. Yuri, quote, that must make it really difficult to feel comfortable with yourself, quote. Yuri, quote, being made to feel like you're wrong just for being the person you are, quote. Natsuki, quote, quote. Natsuki, quote, it really goes against everything I believe in, doesn't it, quote. Natsuki, quote, it goes against the kind of person I want to be, quote. Natsuki, quote, I'm fed up with it, quote. Natsuki, quote, I'm fed up with a lot of things, quote. Natsuki presses her palms into her forehead and shakes her head. Natsuki, quote, I know what's best for me, but I keep convincing myself out of it, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's so much easier to be comfortably unhappy than it is to do something so scary, quote. Yuri, quote, to do what, quote. Natsuki, quote, you know, quote. Natsuki, quote, to end it, quote. Yuri, quote, with them, quote. Natsuki nods. Yuri, quote, I didn't think you were actively considering that as an option, quote. Natsuki, quote, I wasn't until recently, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's just one of those things where, like, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's been a certain way for so long that you just get used to it, quote. Natsuki, quote, like, so much of you has gone into it, so much that it feels like that's just how your life is, quote. Natsuki, quote, and throwing it away is like throwing away such a big part of your life, quote. Natsuki, quote, it makes me feel sick to think about, quote. Natsuki sighs. Natsuki, quote, it's just really scary, it's terrifying, quote. Yuri, quote, what are you scared of, quote. Natsuki, quote, I don't know, a lot of things, quote. Natsuki, quote, like being alone, quote. Natsuki, quote, not having anyone to talk to or hang out with, quote. Natsuki, quote, not being able to replace what I have with them, quote. Natsuki, quote, and I don't want them to hate me, quote. Natsuki, quote, and I'm scared they'll hurt me for going against them, quote. Yuri, quote, physically, quote. Natsuki, quote, not physically, quote. Natsuki, quote, but, quote. Yuri clenches her fists. Yuri, quote, Natsuki, quote. Natsuki, quote, what, quote. Yuri, quote, if anyone even thinks to cause you harm, quote. Yuri, quote, I will unleash hell upon them, quote.
I will unleash hell upon them.
Drama skill.
Oh yeah, that was a success roll on the drama skill.
Mm-hmm.
You need something good here, my liege. Something powerful.
Yep, and then the dialogue option. I will unleash hell upon them.
Natsuki snorts in laughter.
And then the other options were like, I'll make them hurt or something. Maybe physical instrument comes in like, have you considered kneecaps?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say, have you considered murder?
I should have. That was such a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I was
I'm
like,
honestly ashamed of myself.
yeah, I was so disappointed when you didn't go for that, because you said, have you considered,
man.
and then I thought murder, and then you went kneecaps, and I was like, oh, that's disappointing.
I don't know. I feel like kneecaps are physical instruments answer more than murder. Like physical instrument would want to go through some pain, you know?
Yeah. Electrochemistry would be like, have you considered alcohol?
Yes, in all situations. It doesn't matter what the question is.
Or drugs. Or
How do I get out
cigarettes.
of bed? Have you considered alcohol?
Yuri, quote, don't laugh at me, quote.
Yeah, go watch the disco playthrough, guys.
Natsuki, quote, sorry, I was just dash dash, quote. Natsuki, quote, I like that, quote. Natsuki, quote, that's all, quote. Yuri, quote, oh, quote. Yuri, quote, well, I meant it, quote. Natsuki, quote, I know you did, quote. Natsuki gives Yuri an endearing look. Natsuki, quote, I needed it, quote. Yuri, quote, quote. As the conversation lapses, Natsuki again slides a box of cupcakes over to Yuri. Natsuki, quote, just take them, okay, quote. Natsuki, quote, I don't want other people to have them anymore, quote. Yuri, quote, are you sure, quote. Natsuki nods. Natsuki, quote, I'm sure, quote. Yuri, quote, I will, then, quote. Yuri, quote, I'll enjoy them, quote. Natsuki looks away, but a feeling of warmth spreads through her. She holds on to that feeling, knowing it will give her courage. Yuri, quote, you're here first today, quote. Natsuki, quote, MHM, quote. Yuri, quote, and you brought reading material, quote. Natsuki, quote, MHM, quote. Natsuki is sitting in her usual spot, this time holding a volume of manga while her lunch sits beside her. Yuri sits down as well and opens her own book. Natsuki, quote, it sucks when a good series has to come to an end, quote. Natsuki, quote, like it's such a big part of your life, and then one day there's just nothing left, quote.
Uh-huh.
Natsuki, quote, it makes you feel so empty, quote.
Uh-huh.
Yuri, quote, unfortunately, I'm about to experience it myself. I'm on the last book of this series, quote.
And we're on the last story of these side stories. I see you,
Yeah.
Dan Salvato.
Natsuki, quote, that sucks, quote.
You sly dog.
Natsuki, quote, that sucks, quote. Yuri, quote, but there's also something satisfying about letting a story conclude. I don't know if I want it to go on forever, quote. Natsuki, quote, maybe, quote. Natsuki, quote, but there are some things that I wish could, quote.
Yeah.
Like, looking at you, TV shows, when you try and go on too long, it doesn't work.
Or... Yeah, but it's also not good to rush the ending.
Let's not go there. I deliberately didn't go there, man. We don't need to get into that today.
Yuri, quote, on the other hand, have you ever read something that overstayed its welcome, quote. Natsuki,
Oh,
quote, yeah.
god damn it. They're going there.
Natsuki, quote, yeah, definitely, quote. Natsuki, quote, I can think of at least one thing I've read that got pretty unbearable like halfway through, and the ending really sucked, quote.
Oh, so can we. We
Yeah.
didn't read it, but we watched it.
Yeah.
Natsuki, quote, so, it sucks when something good has to end, but it also sucks when they just keep inventing more plot until you don't like it anymore, quote.
Yes. It also sucks when it doesn't end, because the author isn't writing it. There's a guy on YouTube, I'm pretty sure, who, like, counts the days since A Dance for Dragons. How long has it been? It's been like 14 years. How long is that? That's a lot of days, man. It's like... yeah, so definitely over 3,000 days. Way more than that. Holy shit.
Natsuki, quote, I guess it sucks either way, quote. Yuri, quote, MHM, quote. Yuri, quote, well, that's the nature of all things. They come to an end, quote. The two fall silent. They slowly eat while making their way through their respective reading material. Except Natsuki doesn't seem to be touching her food at all. Natsuki, quote, you don't go out during the weekends, right, quote. Yuri, quote, excuse me, quote. Natsuki, quote, like, with friends, at the mall, or downtown, or whatever, quote. Yuri, quote, I'm not a total shut-dash in, you know, quote. Natsuki, quote, oh, my bad for making assumptions, quote. Yuri, quote, well, I'm sure I go out less often than other people, like you, and the others in the club, quote. Yuri, quote, I don't really meet with friends and arbitrarily spend time like that, quote. Yuri, quote, I'm usually meeting with my board game group, quote. Natsuki, quote, board game group, quote. Yuri, quote, it doesn't matter, it's just more nerdy stuff, quote.
She plays D&D.
Okay, yeah, we are kindred spirits.
Yuri, quote, why do you ask? Anyway, quote. Natsuki, quote, I was just curious. I just realized that I couldn't picture it, so I was just curious, quote. Yuri looks at Natsuki and realizes that she's shaking. Natsuki, quote, don't look at me like that, quote. Yuri, quote, sorry, quote. Natsuki pulls her knees into her chest and puts her head down. Natsuki, quote, I can't take this, quote. Yuri, quote, did I do something, quote. Yuri gets flustered, her mind racing over what she may have said or done. Natsuki, quote, I did, quote. Natsuki, quote, I ended it, quote. Natsuki, quote, I texted them earlier, telling them, quote. Natsuki, quote, and then I just blocked them because I'm so afraid of their responses, quote. Natsuki, quote, and now it feels like I'm dying inside, quote. Yuri, quote, oh, quote. Yuri, quote, that's, quote. Yuri, quote, I'm sorry, quote. Totally unsure of what to do, Yuri can barely find any words of support to offer. Meanwhile, the sound of Natsuki's unusually hard breathing fills the air. Then, she speaks again, barely above a whisper. Natsuki, quote, help me, quote. Natsuki, quote, I feel sick and I want to hit my head against things, quote. Natsuki, quote, please help, I can't take this, quote. Yuri, quote, dash, dash, you may be having a panic attack, quote. With the realization, Yuri's demeanor suddenly changes. Yuri, quote, dash, dash, I have experience with this, so I'll help you through it, okay, quote. Natsuki meekly nods through her rapid breath, head still buried in her knees. Yuri slides herself over to Natsuki and sits on the step behind her. Then, she puts her hands on Natsuki's shoulders. Yuri, quote, can you feel my hands, quote. Natsuki nods, her shaking becomes much more apparent through Yuri's sense of touch. Yuri keeps her voice low and gentle. Yuri, quote, you're safe right now, you're in a good and safe place, where nothing can hurt you, quote. Natsuki nods once more, although Yuri is only touching Natsuki's shoulders, she can practically feel her racing pulse through the base of her neck. Yuri, quote, we'll do a breathing exercise together, all you have to do is listen to my breaths and breathe along with me, quote. Yuri, quote, let's breathe in now, quote. Yuri takes a deep, slow breath. Beneath her hands, she feels Natsuki's shoulders rise as Natsuki takes a breath of her own, trying to mimic Yuri. They exhale together, although Natsuki's breath shakes on the way out. Yuri, quote, that's good, let's keep going, quote. Yuri breathes in once more, and Natsuki joins her. They continue like that for a few more cycles while Yuri closely monitors. Eventually, Yuri feels Natsuki rest more of her weight into Yuri's palms. Yuri, quote, let's focus on the physical world, quote. Yuri, quote, all you have to do is focus on the feeling of your breath going in and out, quote. Yuri, quote, and the weight of my hands on your shoulders, quote. Yuri, quote, you're in a safe and comfortable physical space, quote. Minutes pass in silence. By now, the worst of it has passed, but Yuri is determined not to move away until Natsuki prompts her to. Meanwhile, Natsuki has lifted her head off her knees, and her breathing has mostly steadied. Then, she takes a final deep breath and slowly pulls herself to her feet, causing Yuri to let go. She stretches her arms. Natsuki, quote, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to freak out, quote. Natsuki, quote, I don't know what my deal is, quote. Yuri, quote, you don't have to apologize, quote. Yuri, quote, this must be enormously stressful for you, quote. Natsuki, quote, is that going to keep happening, quote. Yuri, quote, it may, or it may not, quote. Yuri, quote, we can take measures to help prevent it in the future, but I think it will naturally get better over time, quote. Natsuki motions to sit back down again, so Yuri moves over. Yuri turns away to pick up her open book from the dusty floor, which she had hastily set down earlier. She brushes the dust off the cover. Natsuki, quote, I don't think I could have gotten through that alone, quote. Yuri, quote, you're not alone, quote. Feeling shy again, Yuri speaks into her own lap. Yuri, quote, from now on, quote. Yuri, quote, you don't have to do anything alone, quote. As she says that, Yuri tenses up. It's rare for her to so openly share her thoughts. But something about Natsuki dash of all people dash makes it feel so much more natural to do so. Perhaps because like Yuri, Natsuki is so timid and uncertain of herself. Natsuki does such a good job of hiding it that it's taken a long time for Yuri to finally realize it. And because of that, Yuri is able to deliver the reassurance that she herself would have wanted, demonstrating that you deserve the love of others. If you can accept that for the first time, then perhaps you can begin the tumultuous journey of learning to love yourself. Natsuki, quote, do you really mean that, quote. Natsuki, quote, you're probably gonna regret saying that, if you do, quote. Yuri, quote, how so, quote. Natsuki, quote, because, quote. Natsuki, quote, I'm probably gonna have a lot of free time during the weekends, from now on, quote. Natsuki, quote, so you're giving me permission to be as annoying as I want and drag you around to a lot of places, quote. Yuri, quote, I see, quote. Natsuki, quote, but you already said it, so you can't take it back now, quote. Yuri, quote, quote. Yuri, quote, well, I suppose I have no choice but to accept that responsibility, then, quote. Natsuki, quote, MHM, quote. Natsuki, quote, I know a good ice cream place, quote. Yuri, quote, oh, quote. Yuri, quote, that means you'll finally figure out my favorite ice cream flavor, quote. Natsuki, quote, quote. Natsuki, quote, what are you talking about, quote. Yuri, quote, oh, you don't remember, quote. Yuri, quote, the first day that you came to the club, you guessed everyone's favorite ice cream flavor, but for me you said you had no idea, quote. Natsuki, quote, seriously, quote. Natsuki, quote, I don't remember that at all, quote. Natsuki, quote, oh wait, yes I do, I said it was probably green tea, quote. Yuri shakes her head. Yuri, quote, it's a good guess, but my favorite is usually to get chocolate and raspberry together, quote. Natsuki, quote, chocolate and raspberry, quote. Natsuki, quote, how fancy, quote. Yuri, quote, how is that fancy, quote. Natsuki, quote, oh, I don't know, quote. Natsuki, quote, I feel like I should guess something like that, quote.
We've lost it. Raspberry and ice cream is not my thing.
I don't think I've had raspberry ice cream.
I'm trying to think if I have, but that just sounds... I don't like it. I'm not a fan.
Natsuki, quote, I feel like I should have guessed something like that, quote. Yuri, quote, well, quote. Yuri, quote, maybe next time I'll try chocolate and strawberry, quote.
Chocolate and strawberry is like just kind of standard.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like double flavors is... I don't know. I prefer one.
Yes, but like chocolate and strawberry are both standard, and like putting them together is fine.
Yeah.
I've had not as like as an order, but in one of those you know, ice cream boxes that you buy at the store, and you have like 3 flavors inside. You know, like you've got vanilla, you got chocolate, you got strawberry. Like, it's fine. It works. I usually just eat all the vanilla. And then when that's gone, then I go on to the others.
Natsuki, quote, hey, strawberry is my favorite, quote. Yuri, quote, unquote. Yuri, quote, what a coincidence, quote. Natsuki, quote, I think it helps to have something to look forward to, quote. Natsuki, quote, I still have the sick feeling in my stomach, quote. Natsuki, quote, but it's easier now to convince myself that I did the right thing, quote. Yuri, quote, is there anything better I could be doing, quote. Natsuki, quote, not that I know, quote. Natsuki, quote, there's nothing that will make this easy for me, quote. Natsuki, quote, and you already did more than I thought anyone could, quote. Yuri, quote, quote. Natsuki, quote, come to think of it, we never talked about the letter you wrote, quote. Natsuki, quote, but I feel like we're way past it at this point, I don't even know what to talk about, quote. Natsuki, quote, except that I think it helped me understand my needs a little bit better, quote. Natsuki, quote, the way I like to be treated, quote. Natsuki, quote, and the kinds of friends that I want to have, quote. Natsuki, quote, that's why I wanted to start coming here in the first place, even though I was so scared of causing more problems, quote. Yuri, quote, I thought it was a coincidence that you ran into me here initially, quote. Natsuki, quote, oh, quote.
Of course it wasn't.
Natsuki, quote, well, not exactly, quote. Yuri, quote, what do you mean, quote. Yuri, quote, what do you mean, quote. Natsuki, quote, nothing, quote. Natsuki, quote, I may have tracked you down first, quote. Natsuki, quote, with the help of Sayori, quote. Yuri, quote, that's quote. Yuri, quote, but you said quote. Natsuki, quote, I was shy, okay, quote. Natsuki, quote, I wasn't ready to like, quote. Natsuki, quote, whatever, you know what I'm saying, quote. Yuri, quote, well, quote. Yuri, quote, I guess, I'm glad that you worked up the courage, quote. Yuri, quote, even if it was in your own way, quote. Yuri, quote, I can tell that you've been making a lot of difficult decisions, quote. Yuri, quote, it's brave, and it will make things better in the long run, quote. Yuri, quote, I think anyone would be proud of you for it, quote. Natsuki, quote, anyone, quote. Natsuki, quote, you mean, like you, quote. Yuri, quote, yes, quote. Yuri, quote, like me, quote. Natsuki, quote, you know, I could get used to this, quote. Yuri, quote, as long as you don't tease me too much, quote. Natsuki, quote, fine, quote. Natsuki, quote, just a little, then, quote. Yuri, quote, that's fine, quote. Yuri, quote, I know how uncertain everything feels to you right now, quote. Yuri, quote, but I really do think that good things are in store. Those are my honest feelings, quote. Natsuki, quote, thanks, quote. Natsuki, quote, it feels nice to be reassured, quote. The 2 girls continue their conversation through the remainder of lunch. But a new feeling hangs in the air, a feeling of greater certainty in their path forward. In just a few hours, there will be another literature club meeting where the 4 club members will happily spend time together. Each of them, all with their own special qualities, have something unique that they can deliver to one another.
Yeah, we're gonna see that club meeting.
Through friendship and literature, the club members will continue to grow and find new happiness together.
And there's our stream title.
The end of each chapter is the start of the next. Yuri thinks to herself. Since she is about to finish her long running series, it would be best to have a new book lined up. Perhaps this weekend would be a good time to visit the bookstore. Together. DDLC.
All right.
I like that one. That was fun.
I'll probably run out of DDLC content to watch since we'll probably run out too. Well, there's plenty of other DDLC playthroughs on YouTube. In fact, I have an entire playlist of all the DDLC playthroughs that I've watched. And once you see that playlist, you'll see that I've watched a lot. Probably more than I should have. 14 years with 5,510 days. Fuck me. Ice cream at all isn't my thing. Just a side note. Holy shit.
I can vibe with that. Like, I would never, if I had a choice between like ice cream and a chocolate bar, ice cream and crisps, ice cream and like pretty much anything else, I choose the anything else over ice cream.
I mean, for me, it would depend. Like, I like all of those things. I like crisps. I like chocolate bars. I like ice cream. It just depends on what kind of mood I'm in and what, like, I wouldn't eat ice cream now, like in winter or, autumn.
Yeah, fair. If it's summer, I might be more likely to grab an ice cream.
Yeah, if it's summer, though, I'd be like, yeah, fuck, give me some ice cream.
Even in summer, I usually rather something else over ice cream.
Please share that playlist.
I like ice cream bars. Ice cream bars are nice.
Ice cream bars?
Do you not have those? They're like, it's like a chocolate bar with ice cream on the inside.
Oh.
Like you can get, say, like Crunch or Snickers ones, I think, are the ones I can think of. Where it's like, it's just a Snickers bar, but it has a load of ice cream on the inside.
Yeah, I don't think I've had one of those, but yeah. That does sound nice. I'm rather cautious with food and stuff. You would turn down Natsuki's cupcakes? Isn't she yours? Like, we've established that she's your pick of the Dokis. You would turn down her cupcakes?
Okay, now cupcakes I'll never say no to.
Anyway, let me grab this playlist link just before we finish the last little story.
Oh, what's that? I thought that was it.
Huh? No, there's the little epilogue.
Oh, yeah, fair.
It's very short.
Oops.
All right, here it is. I'm still adding to it. Like, I haven't added the Therapist Plays ones to it yet. I will. I'm just waiting for the series to be finished. Hey, that's an interesting scenario that you could explore with AI. Like, you go to chat lounge, you get you go talk to the Natsuki agent, and then you turn down her cupcakes and continue with that scenario and see where it goes.
Oh god.
Side stories.
That would go well.
Equals.
Here it is. Equals.
Equals. Open side story. Begin this side equals. Side stories. Monica, quote, okay, everyone, quote.
Uh-huh.
Monica, quote, where are we taking a break from the usual activities today, quote. Monica, quote, I was thinking since people are starting to talk about the festival, it's a good time for us to go over the general direction of the club and all that, quote.
Oh no, not the festival.
Oh,
Not the festival.
Monica, quote, I think it'll help us figure out what to do for the festival, you know, quote. Natsuki, quote, oh, Sayori and I already came up with a really good plan, quote. Monica, quote, really, for the festival, quote. Sayori, quote, yeah, so the plan is this, okay, quote. Sayori, quote, you and Yuri collect information ahead of time on which clubs and classes are doing food booths, quote. Sayori, quote, then we take a map and plan the most efficient route so we can get to most of them before the lines get too long, quote. Monica, quote, hey, that has nothing to do with the club, quote. Sayori, quote, well, you have to let me finish, quote.
I approve of this plan.
Monica, quote, right, fine, go ahead, quote. Sayori, quote, right, so basically we get all the food we can, then we come back here and we all eat together, quote.
I approve of this plan.
me too.
Sayori, quote, that's all, quote. Monica, quote, well, I got tricked twice by the same joke, quote. Natsuki, quote, ooh, don't be a hater, it's not like you can come up with anything better, quote. Natsuki, quote, look, even Yuri was thinking about it, quote. Yuri, quote, in dash, no I wasn't, quote. Yuri, quote, I would really prefer to do something literature dash related, quote. Yuri, quote, we've been together anytime. The festival's a unique opportunity, quote. Yuri, quote, besides, it's been quite a while since we've seen any new interest in the club, quote. Monica, quote, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. We really get a shot at showing people what the literature club is all about, quote. Monica, quote, I'll tell you what, we can do both, right? We'll make time for your food mission and still put together a public event, quote.
Food mission.
Again, Operation Food is a go.
Sayori, quote, oh my gosh, yes, quote. Sayori, quote, I was just joking, but that's a really good idea, quote. Monica, quote, well, I'm glad that's settled, quote. Monica, quote, I think the question is how to come up with an event that demonstrates everything you can get out of the literature club, quote. Sayori, quote, well, that's kind of tough, because everyone gets something different out of the club, quote. Monica, quote, okay, how about this, quote. Monica, quote, let's go around and have each of us talk about what we've gotten out of the club so far, quote. Monica, quote, that could really help us figure out what kind of reputation we want to build, quote. Sayori, quote, yeah, quote. Yuri, quote, that's too embarrassing, quote. Sayori, quote, but you have so much to talk about, quote. Yuri, quote, that's exactly why, quote. Yuri, quote, and I'm sure Natsuki feels the same way, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, dash, dash, quote. Natsuki, quote, maybe, but I didn't plan on arguing against it or anything, quote. Natsuki, quote, I mean, it's the literature club. We talk about that stuff together, right, quote. Natsuki, quote, and the only way to get more comfortable with it is to suck it up and do it, quote. Yuri, quote, oh, quote. Yuri, quote, you're not wrong. I'm sorry for being resistant, quote. Sayori, quote, it's not good to say suck it up because it sounds like their feelings don't matter, quote. Natsuki, quote, right, my bad. It's just a habit I need to break, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, anyway, who's gonna start, quote. Sayori, quote, I'll start, quote. Sayori, quote, I was the first to join, after all, quote. Monica, quote, wouldn't that be me, quote. Sayori, quote, no, I want to go first, quote. Monica, quote, fine, you can start, I don't mind, quote. Sayori, quote, yay, quote. Sayori, quote, so, quote. Sayori, quote, gosh, it feels like so long ago. I think I joined because I wanted to have fun sharing poems with people, quote. Sayori, quote, it seemed like it would be a safe way to express myself, you know, like if it's just a poem, then I can share it without feeling like I'm burdening everyone with my problems, quote. Sayori, quote, and I thought it would be a really good way to get to know other people, too, quote. Sayori, quote, so yeah, I was really surprised when I walked in and it was just Monica, quote.
Just Monica.
Sayori, quote, and she was sleeping, quote. Monica, quote, don't remind me of that. Oh gosh, quote. Sayori, quote, yeah, but it seemed like so much fun to help start a new club, quote. Sayori, quote, especially since writing helped me so much, I wanted to see it help other people too, quote. Sayori, quote, but it ended up being me who was inspired, cause I remember feeling like Monica was just so sweet and mature, and that I could trust her with anything, quote. Sayori, quote, it made me feel a lot less alone, having someone who knew even the bad things about me, quote. Sayori, quote, and at that point, I knew the literature club was gonna be special for a lot of people, quote. Monica, quote, yeah, I felt the same way, quote. Monica, quote, it really helped give the club a more cohesive vision, quote. Sayori, quote, yeah, and then Yuri joined, but she was so different from us, and Natsuki, too, quote. Sayori, quote, I think, for Yuri, it really helped for me to take the lead before she was able to open up a little, quote. Sayori, quote, but Natsuki was kind of the opposite, where she wasn't ready to get really close to someone really quickly. I never really thought about that sort of thing, quote. Sayori, quote, I really feel like I've gotten better at understanding people's different needs, quote. Sayori, quote, and it makes me really happy, because my friends are just the most important thing to me, quote. Sayori, quote, and whatever new members we get, I want to help them in those ways too, quote. Yuri, quote, I don't know if I would have continued coming to the club if it weren't for you, quote. Sayori, quote, really, quote. Yuri, quote, MHM, quote. Yuri, quote, I know it wasn't too long ago, but it hurts to think about my behavior back then, quote. Yuri, quote, I was really short-sighted, quote. Yuri, quote, the only reason I came was to find others who were into fantasy. I suppose that was my idea of making friends with people, quote. Yuri, quote, and I remember feeling uncomfortable because you and I have such different energy, quote.
Yeah, that was so funny. She just goes, here's a big series of 10 huge books.
Get reading.
We're friends now, right?
Yuri, quote, I had such a specific idea of the kind of person I could be friends with, so when Sayori tried so hard to get to know me, I felt like I was just wasting her time, quote. Yuri, quote, I think I was naive to assume that similar interests were a key component of friendship, quote. Yuri, quote, Sayori and I were able to be friends because she always thinks about the needs of other people. That's something I never knew how to do or even thought to do, quote. Yuri, quote, but I stayed in the club thanks to that, and I started trying as hard as I could to understand people better, quote. Monica, quote, you really went above and beyond when it came to that. I was just super impressed, quote. Yuri, quote, well, I always hated that I didn't know how to behave like a person who is easily liked by others, like the two of you can, quote. Yuri, quote, and because of that, I spent so much time thinking about my own behavior, all the wrong things I said, quote. Yuri, quote, but the whole time, I should have been thinking about other people instead, not myself, quote. Yuri, quote, once I started doing that, I was able to make friends with everyone else, quote. Yuri, quote, oh, also, I discovered that sometimes I'm a better communicator when I take the time to write, rather than speak, quote. Yuri, quote, it's so strange the way things turned out. It's so far different from anything I ever would have expected, quote. Yuri, quote, but I'm happy, quote. Yuri, quote, I suppose we don't always know what we really need, quote. Sayori, quote, oh my gosh, quote. Sayori, quote, you're so cute that I'm going to throw up, quote. Yuri, quote, okay, please don't do that. Sayori, quote. Yuri, quote, besides, I'm not cute, quote. Natsuki, quote, hey, isn't that my line, quote. Yuri, quote, oh, quote. Yuri, quote, well, for me, it's actually true. So, quote. Natsuki, quote, W dash, what are you saying, quote. Yuri, quote, nothing, quote. Yuri, quote, I finished my part, so somebody else take their turn, quote. Sayori, quote, my heart dash dash, quote. Monica, quote, Sayori, take some deep breaths, quote. Natsuki, quote, okay, fine, I'll go, quote. Natsuki, quote, Yuri, I can't believe you were complaining about doing this and still went before me. What a show dash off, quote. Yuri, quote, I was just dash dash following up on Sayori. It was the easiest way to get it over with, quote. Natsuki, quote, besides, you left out the most important thing that you get out of this club, quote. Yuri, quote, I did, quote. Natsuki, quote, yeah, a regular supply of your favorite cupcakes, quote. Sayori, quote, oh no, I forgot that too, quote. Sayori, quote, I'm a traitor to the cupcake queen, quote. Natsuki, quote, neither of you are forgiven, quote.
Okay, queen.
Sayori has some of that drama skill as well.
Oh yeah.
Especially in my conversation with AI Sayori, that there's a lot of drama skill there.
Natsuki, quote, looks like only Monica will be getting cupcakes next time, quote.
She has some very interesting nicknames for me, which I will not reveal.
Go for it. Come on.
No.
Go on, man. You can't drop something like that and then refuse to expand.
I did it. I deliberately did it for that, but no, I will not reveal it.
Okay,
Maybe that's a wheel option.
Price?
Maybe that's a wheel option or something.
That's a weak wheel option.
Well, it's a level 1.
Okay. We
Maybe.
need to get you on the wheel. We need to get you to do something.
I don't know what we do for the wheel. Maybe in disco.
I was gonna say, is there anything we can add to disco?
But I don't know what.
No.
Oh no. What?
No, we won't be doing that. It's just,
When you go crazy with dialogue options and click through literally everything.
That's literally every episode of Disco. Like,
Yeah, that's what I mean. We won't be doing that, but I don't know. Like death doesn't work because that never happens really.
yeah.
Could be like morale/health damage.
Every time we take morale or health damage. I mean,
Yeah, like
it's not like it's not like I control that though.
True, but in a game like Disco, like it's hard to think what you do control.
Yeah. Nothing. You control the dialogue options you choose. And like what you decide to investigate. Like the playthroughs I've watched have gone completely differently because they decided to do different things on day 1
Yeah, and roll different.
and roll differently. Yeah. Oh my god, this guy that I was watching, he failed the throw up check 4 times.
Oh my god.
So the first 2, before, the first 2 you fail, then you get the shit compressor thought. And then he failed twice more with that thought.
oh wow.
It's so crazy. He finally got there on day 2. Also, apparently there's an achievement for completing the game without ever even inspecting the body. Which
I don't know how you
is
do that.
crazy to me. Like, so what? The body just stays there, rotting and hanging on the tree forever? Anyway, let's finish
Quote,
this.
looks like only Monica will be getting cupcakes next time, quote. Sayori, quote, new quote. Monica, quote, I can't eat the many cupcakes, quote. Natsuki, quote, yeah, true, only Yuri can, quote. Yuri, quote, hey, quote. Natsuki, quote, well, anyway, I'm just putting off talking, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's
Yeah,
kind of hard
that
to talk
was
about this stuff.
It was a friendly joke, I think. It wasn't meant to be an insult.
Natsuki, quote, it's kind of hard to talk about this stuff, quote. Natsuki, quote, but I guess what it comes down to is that I'm in a much better place mentally than I was when I first joined, quote. Natsuki, quote, and that's because everyone helped me realize that I had some really toxic friendships going on outside the club, quote. Natsuki, quote, it was honestly a really painful thing to go through, having to cut them out. It still hurts to think about, quote. Sayori, quote, I'm sorry, Natsuki, quote. Natsuki, quote, it's fine. I knew it was for the best, and I was right, quote. Natsuki, quote, I guess for me it's all about feelings, quote. Natsuki, quote, I was only ever ridiculed for having feelings, so I thought the right thing to do was to just ignore them, quote. Natsuki, quote, it took me a really long time to realize that it's not really how things are supposed to work, quote. Natsuki, quote, and I guess it's thanks to everyone who took the time to respect my feelings, even when I was being like the biggest jerk, quote. Natsuki, quote, I'm really sorry for being such a jerk to everyone, quote. Natsuki, quote, I was really the worst, dash, quote. Natsuki's voice chokes a little. Sayori, quote, we love you, Natsuki, quote. Natsuki, quote, I just dash hate that I was like that, quote. Natsuki, quote, I just dash hate that I was like that, quote. Natsuki, quote, everyone did so much for me, and I could never do anything in return, quote.
Yeah, she's alright. Especially, like, Monica was a bigger jerk to Natsuki when she joined.
Yeah, Monica was a bit of a dick.
Yeah.
Monica, quote, that's not true, quote. Monica, quote, Natsuki, quote. Monica, quote, you've done a lot more than you think, quote. Monica, quote, this club really wouldn't have been the same without you. I mean that, Natsuki, quote, quote. Monica, quote, this club really wouldn't have been the same without you. I mean that, quote. Monica, quote, remember how judgmental I was when you first showed up, quote.
Yep.
Monica, quote, it was like I couldn't accept anything other than my own idea of what a future club was supposed to be, quote. Monica, quote, apparently, that was more important.
Yeah, man. That's the name of one of the stories.
Monica, quote, apparently, that was more important to me than the opportunity to bring you some happiness, quote. Monica, quote, you really taught me that anything that makes someone happy is worthy of respect, quote. Monica, quote, you even inspired me to start playing piano. That's something that means a whole lot to me, quote. Monica, quote, so there's no need to put yourself down, quote. Natsuki, quote, okay, quote. Natsuki wipes her eyes. Sayori, quote, you helped me a lot too, quote. Sayori, quote, it's so much fun to have you around, quote. Sayori, quote, and you helped me become a better person, quote. Sayori, quote, having a problem doesn't make you needy or inconvenient, quote. Sayori, quote, it means that there's something that needs to be better for you, and you always deserve it, quote. Yuri, quote, I agree, quote. Yuri, quote, seeing us have some of the same struggles made me a better person as well, quote. Yuri, quote, I wouldn't want to change anything about our time here, quote. Yuri, quote, I don't think any of us would, quote. Natsuki, quote, I'm sorry I got all dramatic again, quote. Natsuki, quote, that's all I wanted to say, so Monica can go now, quote. Monica, quote, there's no need to apologize, quote. Monica, quote, it was something I wanted to talk about anyway, because it made a big difference for me, quote. Monica, quote, I was always such a strict perfectionist who never took enough time to believe in the best of other people, quote. Monica, quote, but everyone kept proving me wrong. I made the mistake multiple times thinking that my way was the best for everyone, quote. Monica, quote, or thinking that I was needed to solve other people's problems, quote.
Actually, I think I was wrong on the drama skill thing. I think what I meant, like with the Sayori thing, it's more conceptualization than drama.
Yeah,
Now that I think about it.
fair.
Monica, quote, or thinking that I was needed to solve other people's problems, quote. Monica, quote, but I think being a leader means that you have to acknowledge that you're not perfect, and that the best thing you can do is to help guide people, rather than to do everything for them, quote. Monica, quote, we're all good people, we're all equals, quote. Monica, quote, I think that's the most important thing I got to know,
Name drop.
realizing what that really means, quote. Monica, quote, Sayori, what are you doing?
Equals. That's the name of the story.
Ah, yes.
Monica, quote, Sayori, what are you doing, quote. Sayori, quote, I just thought that we should be writing some of these things down, quote. Sayori, quote, things about the club that are valuable to us, quote. With a piece of chalk in her hand, Sayori writes the word, quote, trust, quote, on the chalkboard. Sayori, quote, this is because you showed me that I could trust you with everything about me, not just my good side, quote. Suddenly, Yuri takes a piece of chalk as well. She writes, quote, understanding, quote. Yuri, quote, I owe a lot of gratitude to everyone who took the time to understand me, even though it was so difficult for me to express myself, quote. Monica, quote, in the case, quote. Monica takes a piece of chalk as well and writes the word, quote, respect, quote. Monica, quote, I always thought I was a respectful person, but it took the club for me to realize that there was more to it than I thought, and I'm a better person because of it, quote. Sayori, quote, I have another one, quote. Sayori writes, quote, balance, quote. Sayori, quote, sometimes people want different things out of a friendship, or they need time before they're ready to become close, quote. Sayori, quote, so it's important to keep things balanced between you and the other person, quote. Yuri, quote, that reminds me, quote. Yuri writes, quote, reflection, quote. Yuri, quote, I've always been a reflective person, but most of it has been nothing more than hating myself for all the things I thought I did wrong, quote. Yuri, quote, once I started reflecting on other people, and not just myself, a lot of things changed for me, quote. Yuri, quote, so I think that's the most important one for me, quote. Monica, quote, that's great, we have a whole list of things now, quote. Suddenly, everyone turns to look at Natsuki. Natsuki, quote, well, everyone took all the chalk, don't look at me like that, geez, quote. Monica, quote, you could have just, quote. Monica hands her piece of chalk to Natsuki. Then, Natsuki sighs and writes, quote, self-love, quote. Natsuki, quote, I don't know how far I've gotten with it yet, but, quote, Natsuki, quote, it feels like things are at least on the right track, quote. Natsuki, quote, so there, that's my contribution, quote. Together, everyone stares at the words on the board. Monica, quote, wasn't this club supposed to be about literature, quote. Sayori, quote, it is, we still do a lot of literature, quote. Sayori, quote, friendship and literature, quote. Monica, quote, yeah, you're right, quote. Monica, quote, friendship and literature, quote. Natsuki and Yuri gently nod as well. Monica, quote, hey, let's all take a picture together, quote. Monica, quote, we don't have one yet, right, quote. Sayori, quote, hey, you're right, quote. Sayori, quote, make sure you send it to me after, quote. Yuri, quote, wait, can I brush my hair first or something, quote. Natsuki, quote, oh, you're fine. You already have the best hair out of all of us, quote. Yuri, quote, quote. Monica, quote, everyone get together. I can't fit you all in, quote. Yuri, quote, okay, quote. Monica, quote, okay, everyone ready, quote. Monica, quote, and click, quote. Monica, quote, I'm really glad we talked about this stuff, quote. Monica, quote, it's easy to forget how far we've come with only 4 members, quote. Sayori, quote, yeah, quote. Sayori, quote, I have so many happy thoughts right now, quote. Sayori, quote, I'm getting some really good inspiration for a poem, quote.
Are you putting them in bottles?
Mm-hmm.
Monica, quote, you know, I feel the same way. I kinda want to get some writing done, quote. Sayori, quote, me too, quote. Yuri, quote, I think I would like that as well, quote. Natsuki, quote, everyone's looking at me again, quote. Natsuki, quote, I'll do it too, but I might not feel like sharing it, quote. Monica, quote, that's okay, quote. The 4 members of the literature club disperse and return to their desks, each equipping themselves with a pen. Natsuki and Yuri give each other a quick glance, then start writing immediately. Sayori stretches, then does the same. But Monica is left tapping her pen against the paper, unsure of where to start. Monica, quote, quote. Monica, quote, just move your hand, quote. Monica mouths to herself.
And go with the flow.
Monica, quote, write the way into your heart, quote. Her mind full of thoughts, memories, and inspiration, Monica navigates past her mental barriers and begins to write. It doesn't matter what just that it's something new.
And I think that's the credits. Which I did not implement reading for. Maybe I should. I don't know. It's not that important.
No. Those were really nice, though. I've enjoyed them. But
MC
yeah,
joined.
that is-
Last of all, MC joined, which doomed their entire reality to deletion. No. Alright? Do not blame MC for this, alright? We all
that was on Monica.
we all like hating MC, but in this case, Monica was the one that deleted it. Monica blames him too. She's like, when you delete her, she goes like, there, you've killed everyone. Are you happy now? And it's like, no, bitch, you're the one who killed
You
everyone.
got 3 for 4. We killed 1. But yeah, those have been fun. I enjoyed those.
Yeah. Credits are annoying most of the time. I can skip them. They spam the yeah, that's why I didn't do it, because the spam on the screen reader is obnoxious. I like reading credits. They're scrolling through visually now, so anyone who can see them.
Yeah.
You know, credits are good. It's good to give credits to people, but yeah, they really do spam the screen reader. Dude, again, I will... You cannot win this one. It's Monica's fault.
But yeah, overall, these side stories have been really fun. Some of them more bittersweet than others, as we've discussed, but I have enjoyed them.
Yeah.
Jesus, cold.
Oh, Philip the Idiot. Still here. You want to say that Monica is the best character in the game?
Sacrilege.
Well,
And so
you're
a
gonna...
war was declared.
You're gonna have to qualify that, because if you mean she's the best character, as in, like, the best written, you know, as a character, then...
An argument can be made.
You could make the argument. You would have to make a really good argument. You can't just say she's the best and not qualify it with anything. If you're just saying she's your favorite, again, we've already established that's Natsuki for some reason. Like, I said it, you have to pick Natsuki because the rest of us have picked one, and then you
And you
just
just
agreed
wrote
with it.
Nice
So,
to
you know.
5 male pictures, music. Track 5, play. Toggling playback for play with me.
I respect that.
I don't really know what I based this on. I just felt like saying it. All right, fair enough.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I respect that. Sometimes you just gotta say things.
Yeah.
Whether they make sense or not, you can figure that out later.
Yeah, we do that a lot on the stream because it's a live thing. You know, we're streaming live. Sometimes I just say shit. Later, when I'm listening back to him, I'm like, why did I say that? That was stupid.
Nah, Philip, you're locked in, man. Nothing you can do.
I refuse, Monica. No, you are locked in the lore. Like, it's over. Okay, well, he's outright declaring Natsuki as his favorite.
Excellent.
Very good.
Yeah, we have the 4 now.
Very good. Yeah, and Yuri
But yeah.
is still part of a live triangle. You guys really need to sort it out.
Yeah, we'll have to have it like a duel.
Yeah.
Or something.
You need to have the chronicler write a duel between. Except you're both in the lore. You're
He's in
both
the
on
lore,
the.
but-
You're both on my side.
We can still have a friendly duel where
You can.
one of us dies horribly.
Yeah. What about Sayori? Anybody? Hello.
That was a fucking insult to Luceus there.
I have. Thinks Flimsy losing the duel. Why? Flimsy is pretty strong. What powers does High Gyron Shane even have? Except being late. Oh, maybe
I'm a
that's the.
cleric. I can
He's gonna
call
be
in-
late to the duel.
Yeah, I'm just not there. He can't
He's
hit
just
anyone.
not gonna
And then
show up.
when he gets tired and falls asleep, and I show up and kill him in his
Yeah, he's
sleep.
gonna
There you
shift
go.
into the Flimsy timeline while he waits, and then High Gyron shows up and is like, "Sup?"
That was easy.
But yeah, anybody picked Sayori? Like, yeah, I picked her like day 2.
Day 1.
Day 1 was still, you know, the Yuri day, the false day.
Full stone.
Yeah. Isn't that a thing in fucking A Song of Ice and Fire? The False Dawn? Or am I crazy?
I don't think so.
Just the phrase sounds familiar.
But yeah, like, what's the word? To sum up these streams, I don't know how to even sum these ones up. Jesus. This has been a very introspective experience.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that those stories touch on that we didn't even talk about on the stream in terms of like our own experiences, at least mine.
Track 6, point. Track 7. Toggling playback for data.
Because I don't really want to talk about that on stream.
Yeah. They're very, like, impersonal and personal at the same time.
You put say on the end, on the beginning, because he's used to modding. We're not gonna do that duel right now. I don't have the thread prepared with all the lore.
Yeah, we'll have to do that another time. We'll do it. We'll do it on Discord, maybe.
Yeah, but yeah. So side stories, we've done them. They're cool. They're fun. They're interesting. I don't really. Obviously, I prefer the main game. The main game is like the peak. No, Blue Skies is the peak, but you know. These side stories, they give you more insight into the characters, but they also are not canon.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
But they do, like, it's more... I feel like the side stories are more of a... how you relate to these different things that these characters are experiencing. It's more of that. It's more personal that way. Kind of a proxy therapy session, in a way. Because all of these stories really are just therapy sessions, as we said before. That's like all it is. So it's very different from anything we've done before on the stream.
Yeah, I did enjoy it, though.
Yeah, it was good.
But yeah, so next stream...
Yeah, so let's talk about the future.
RimWorld is tentatively next week, possibly the week after, depending on how much of a dick college is and how much me and Claude get done.
Uh-huh.
But it will be in the next few weeks.
Yep.
If it's not RimWorld next week, I assume we'll just take a break.
We might just take a week off. Although we've been taking a lot of weeks off recently for other reasons. You know, we would have been done with these DDLC streams.
We could do some Gwen and Z's.
We could do another explosion stream. It's basically the anniversary of the other explosion stream, so we could do that again.
I think that'd be a bit of fun. We could do that next week. Well, this week coming, assuming RimWorld isn't ready.
Yeah, and also assuming that Philip will join, and Robust also wants to join.
Yeah, maybe Game Trier as well.
Yeah, sure. If he wants to join, he's welcome.
But yeah, we will get back to you on that one.
Yeah, but then after that, because we're not gonna like do a big old series of RimWorld, we're gonna do at least not yet.
The release stream, and then
we're gonna do the release stream.
It will be ready to do a series, but we might not want to jump into that.
Yeah.
We can see how we get on. Like, if you really enjoy it, we can, but...
Yeah. Other than that, we have Blue Skies that we want to do.
Yeah.
We have... What else do we have? What would be like a series?
That's it.
Well, yeah, we have the, Discord recordings.
Yeah. And the other thing that's coming out soon.
Yeah, at some point. What else? You were gonna do that one game that I'm not gonna say what it is, but you were gonna try it, and then you...
I'm gonna be honest. I completely forgot.
There's also that World War II game that came out.
Yeah, I didn't hear great feedback from when I skimmed the forums for it.
I played it for like 5 minutes, and yeah, I didn't really vibe with it.
We can see. I think for now we will end this stream here.
Yeah.
And we will let you know what we're doing next as the week progresses.
Indeed.
So thank you for joining us. This has been very fun. These side story streams have been very interesting, very introspective.
Yeah.
And we will see you
a lot of reflection has been achieved.
Oh yeah.
Team Trier says bye. Spelled the wrong way.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a good evening, or afternoon, or morning, or whatever it happens to be.
Indeed. Do all the stuff. Go watch the disco playthrough.
Yeah, please do. Please
again.
put some comments in there.
Yeah, like engage with it. You know, yesterday's episode especially had some very low views, which I was not happy about because it's the episode where we finally got shit done.
Give it time.
Yeah, go watch it. Leave likes on there. Comment. New episodes coming Wednesdays and Saturdays. And that's about it for tonight. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thunderstep Gaming.
Desktop 1.